Nero jetzt mit dem Kill gegen Seitenstreuer. Max holt sich Demon 3 gegen 2 Situationen. Man kann wieder ein bisschen ausgleichen, aber Shoot, der hat ja gerade hier wirklich Head-Aim des Todes. Und der scheint hier noch nicht aufzuhören. Er ist noch am Start, hält hier weiter in Comeback im Game. Bekommt jetzt hier nochmal ein kurzes Spritzchen vom Dog, damit er auch wieder voll belastbar ist und sich in den nächsten ziehen kann. Timo mit dem Quad-Kill. Der Junge, der ist unglaublich. Also wenn er nicht so gut wäre, dann würde ich schon fast sagen, der hat was an. Der ist da schon bereit, um sich ein Opening zu ziehen. Aber bislang bekommt er hier noch nicht viel Futter.
Der Ganze versucht es immer wieder. Sieht den Gegner, aber auch er weiß, wo er ist. Versucht so ein paar Schüsse rauszuschießen, aber der Gegner, der pickt sich gerade noch einen Strang, noch nicht ganz rauszupicken. Währenddessen von der anderen Seite nimmt man schon mal ein bisschen Raum ein. Die ersten paar Toxic Blade Canister gehen auch schon raus. Maus immer noch im Spawn, weiß immer noch, dass der Legion da ist. Es schadet nur ein kleiner Headshot, eine kleine Kugel. Da hätten wir schon den ersten Spieler weg von dieser Runde. Und schau dir an, er ist immer noch im Spawn. Das ist immer noch dieser Gunfight. Also er will auch nicht locker lassen. Schau es dir an.
Ja, da kommt es natürlich drauf an, wer holt sich hier den Kill. Ich meine, man hat ihn im Spot ja gefangen, also im Spawn gefangen so ein bisschen. Man kann ihn jetzt gut erstmal fernhalten von seinem Team. Jetzt landet man auch die ersten Shots. Also Maus, der kommt nicht weiter.
Aber Arco auf der anderen Seite.
Entropy hat auf dieser Map hier ihr Comeback zum Best of 5 Sieg gegen Secret Border perfekt gemacht für den Titel aus der Season 2. Und du merkst, die fühlen sich hier auf dieser Map mehr als pudelwohl.
Definitiv, und das zeigen sie auch mit der Scoreline, ne? Nicht nur zeigt es, oh, schaut den Red natürlich raus, versucht hier greedy zu sein, aber Vorsicht! Oh, holt sich zwar noch den Kill, der 7 gerade keine Chance hier zu reagieren. Achtung! Die Teammates, die warten schon und die kommen schon. In Red Gruppe A, wie schon öfters gesagt, ist die Todesgruppe hier. Close Range mit dem Blitz. Oh je, come on. Noch mal ein bisschen rumschubsen. Dindo kann da in diesem Fall nicht mehr vieles machen. Lass den Jungen einfach gemütlich in den Feierabend gehen, Jungs. Dankeschön. Und somit hat Team Alpha das 7:2 sich ergattern können.
Hier Demon zunächst mal raus. 1 gegen 5 Zone alleine. Gegen ein komplettes Team. Eine Aufgabe, die sicherlich hier nicht mehr zu bewältigen ist für ihn. Vor allem jetzt nochmal aufgedroht. Nino holt die Zone. Flawless Round für Reason. Und dementsprechend geht's weiter. 1:1.
Wunderschöne C4 könnte vielleicht ein bisschen wehtun, aber gerade noch so nicht geschafft. Hat aber dafür gesorgt, dass die Ram sehr viel Schaden genommen hat. Schade, dass dann 40 Sekunden noch auf der Uhr. Wir starten es jetzt, das vertikale Spiel. Der ist noch ein Maestro, mit dem wir dealen müssen. Kein CP, kein Nichts. Wir haben noch die F-Nets und somit ist der Meister weg und die Triple Kill noch dazu. Koji holt sich noch einen weiteren Spieler. Es bleibt knapp und spannend bis in den letzten paar Sekündchen rein. Das Fan-Gadget wird nochmal zeigen, wo sich die Spieler hier befinden, wo einer ist. Wo ist der zweite? Die Schüsse geben es her und jetzt weiß man ganz genau von der Seite von Team Alpha, wo die Spieler sind. Die Frage für die Troy ist, wo sind denn die Spieler von Alpha? Ramsey mit dem Quad-Kill jetzt in der Runde. Alles auf Plan sind 1 gegen 2. Es liegt am ihn jetzt, ob diese Runde seins ist oder nicht. Und es wird nicht seins sein. Ramsey holt sich das Ace in Runde 0.
Relativ passiv erst anzuspielen und dann halt plötzlich sehr, sehr explosiv dann diesen Take zu spielen.
Oh, und das ist genau, was jetzt passieren wird. Diese kleine Phase oder vielleicht die Erinnerung, wie es war, ist jetzt vorbei. C4 kommt, aber nein! Die Team holt sich den ersten, holt sich den zweiten, vielleicht noch einen dritten dazu. Klaus ist da, hilft dem Teammate Shuge mit dazu und auf einmal alles fällt auseinander. Vanozza holt sich zwar noch 2, aber sind wir ehrlich, der Schaden ist bereits gemacht. In der Smoke, Just Chill versucht natürlich reinzupieken. Wunderschöner Kill durch die Smoke. Der Trade ist direkt da, 25 Sekunden, aber der Flank von oben könnte jetzt verheerend werden. Man versucht reinzugehen, die Flashbang kommt zwar durch, man wird geinjured, die EMP noch dazu. Die 2 Kills fallen, das 2 gegen 2 steht und auf einmal ist es doch Just Chill. Ganz in den letzten Sekunden holen sie noch die 2 Kills. Aber es war doch wieder so knapp, das 5 gegen 3 bis zum bitteren Ende war es nicht entschieden.
Strichen haben Pressure im unteren Stockwerk aufgebaut, wobei der jetzt natürlich down ist. Der liebe Eifeton. Zug fällt ebenfalls. Überzahlsituation ist aber jetzt bei Secret Powder nur noch Schmoben, die sich hier um die Side drumherum arbeitet. Das ist ja auch passend gegen den Montagne. Hat einen Injure bekommen, den Kill könnte hier zum Held werden. 1-1-Situation, solange man Volto hier nicht aufheben kann.
Oh, das ist nein, der Flores geht in die falsche Richtung. Man piekt rum, verpasst ganz halb die Hits. Ja, Volto geinjured, The Red Cannon noch am Leben. Gegen Schwubbin, Low HP, kann sie nicht mehr geheilt werden, einfach weil man die Scorpius-Roboter nicht heilen kann. Volto jetzt wieder auf den Beinen. Und Schwubbin, der will hier zum Held werden. Flashbang geht durch, kann ihn nicht flashen. Schwubbin nutzt den ersten für den Quad-Kill. Und jetzt ein 1 gegen 1. Schwubbin, ein Kill vor dem Ace. 8 Sekunden auf der Uhr. Bitte runter, HE ist durch. Er geht einfach weg. Er wartet einfach. Er swingt. Findet niemanden. In den letzten paar Sekunden Schwubbin mit dem Ace. Holt sich
Natürlich diese eine Bandit Charge jetzt an dieser Wand. Das ist natürlich nochmal ein bisschen schwieriger machen. Natürlich kann man weggeben, indem man die Keeper Barrier kaputt macht. Aber so leicht wird es natürlich nicht. Der 45 sehr knapp hier an diesem Fenster. Könnte bald sein Leben verlieren. Vielleicht auch einen Kill rausholen. Wunderschön. Nächste fällt noch mit dazu. Das 5 gegen 2 steht ganz auf einmal. Secret Powder holen sich jetzt derlei Kills durch Aggressivität. Nächsten paar Schüsse kommen. C4 so mit dazu. Wunderschön. Triple Kill ist für Player 45 in dieser Runde. Aber wenn wir ehrlich sind, die Spieler von der Seite von Team Leisure auf einmal so gut, wo sie waren mit den Traden, haben wir leider von Trades und Refrags nicht wirklich vieles gesehen in den letzten 2 Runden.
oder kann die gesamte Pressure aufbauen und einen rausholen, vorausgesetzt, er tut es auch, und vorausgesetzt, man macht Default-Camps kaputt. Denn nein, die Default-Cam lebt immer noch.
Ja, genau, es gibt zwei Vorangehensweisen. Ja, das ist absolut nicht gut an der Stelle, aber sie versuchen hier deep reinzupushen, aber was sie nicht wussten, ist, dass die komplette Side absolut offen ist und dann hier die Shotgun, die sie auch noch auseinander nimmt. Es gab da viele Vorangehensweise, wie man diese Runde letztendlich rausholen kann. Ich glaube nicht, dass sie da ganz die richtige Wahl getroffen haben. Ich glaube, wenn sie gewusst hätten, dass Side komplett offen ist. Interessantes Netz hier, welches sich MixQ aufgebaut hat oder für Shio hingelegt hat auf jeden Fall. Hier dann auch direkt mit der Granate. Wunderschöner Kill von Slorox auf Esse. Hier die Impact-Granate, um den Long Angle aufzumachen mit Ela. Unglaublich stark. Und Bambi wird versuchen, hier rumzuziehen, um den Refract zu ziehen. Aber er muss also schauen, ob er zurückfallen kann. Die Hedge wird nicht mehr funktionieren. Und Nono wird mittlerweile auch gedownt von Toji. Jetzt ist es nur noch eine 3-gegen-2-Situation. Die Nate hier macht ordentlich Schaden. Slorax zieht Kaneo raus. Eine 5-gegen-2-Situation. Daya muss rumziehen, um hier den Refract zu holen. Aber das wird's nicht werden. Sander holt Steno raus. Die nächste Nate kommt raus. Slorax wird rausgenommen. Aber Daya kann es nicht schaffen, das Ace zu vollbringen. Toji holt die erste Runde für Team Vertex.
Wir sind im Gebäude, pushen uns langsam aber richtig sicher Richtung. Siehst du vor, das ist das Nomad-Gadget. Trifft aber auch Nono auf der Nomad. Slorax gewinnt das Ganze. Sieht da unten noch einen Geinjurten, kriegt auch den raus. Und AZB zu zweit, Team Vertex noch zu viert. Was geht's hier ab? Jetzt piekt Slorax einfach mal Top East. Da wäre Steno, kriegt ihn fast raus. Aber Slorax ist da, kriegt fast Cory raus. Und was geht hier ab? Bitte was? Steno guckt im falschen Moment weg, kriegt Burstex trotzdem noch. Somit ein Frag gesichert, piekt die ganze Zeit auf Toji. Hat ihn Nate in der Hand. Slorax aber mit dem Triple Kill kriegt ihn raus. Nate auf den Boden gedroppt. Cory mit wenigen HP, unter dem er alleine gegen 3. Slorax am Ende mit der Diege. Defender sind alle auf dem Spot. Man weiß ungefähr, wo Burstex ist. Der hat gerade eine seiner Granaten rausgeworfen auf Kaneo und wird noch gleich die zweite hinterwerfen. Währenddessen Team Vertex, die warten einfach ab. Cory finish Kaneo. Ein Teamkill, der fatale Folgen haben kann. Die beiden müssen blind ohne Insel reingehen. Defender sind alle auf dem Spot. Man weiß ungefähr, wo Burstex ist. Der hat gerade eine seiner Granaten rausgeworfen auf Kaneo und wird noch gleich die zweite hinterwerfen. Währenddessen Team Vertex, die warten einfach ab. Cory finish Kaneo. Ein Teamkill, der fatale Folgen haben kann. Die beiden müssen blind ohne Insel reingehen.
Ja, aber der Solid Snake kann natürlich nie nach unten schauen. Deswegen selbst der Solid Snake Scanner bringt ihn in der Situation leider wenig und sie haben ihn gar nicht auf dem Schirm. Keine Flanke, die da steht. Claudi muss nur noch ein bisschen hochlaufen, da holt er sich den ersten an, die Shot direkt raus, kriegt keinen zweiten. Jetzt wissen sie, dass der Flank da ist. Der Blitz kommt auch direkt, um ihn rauszuholen. Banani holt sich einen, Coxet auf den zweiten und jetzt ist es nur noch der Blitz, der am Leben bleibt. Panosa dann auch rausgeholt. Richtig schön Zeit gewastet am Anfang und der Flank von Claudi, genau so wie es geschrieben steht.
Oh, er weiß es nicht, weil es natürlich auch keine Punkteanzahl gibt. Ich weiß, früher war ja drin, wenn man jemanden geinjured hat, wusste ich ja sowieso nicht. Aber was ein Pick! Er dreht sich um, findet sein C4 und haut einfach mal Bambi auf den Boden. Und
Hier
Ego
kommt dann
joggt
die-
einfach nicht, ich weiß nicht warum.
Ich auch nicht. Ich wollte jetzt einfach mal so weitermachen, als ob da nichts passiert ist. Aber Bambi wird auf jeden Fall auch rausgeholt. Was ist confirmed? Er den halben Kill.
Die Zeit tickt gegen ihn runter. 40 Sekunden sind noch auf der Uhr. Claudi Nummer 1 gegen 3. Oh, Claudi, geht einfach mal rum. Kriegt den Kill. Dann ist seine Waffe leer. Die SMG-11 hat nicht viele Schuss. Er muss nachladen, probiert dabei noch wegzurennen. Kriegt das Ganze nicht mehr hin. Und somit Nord-Süd gewinnt.
Hat er noch mal ein bisschen Zeit bekommen, die Runde zu holen. Wieso pusht ihn? Wieso geht der nicht auf Plan? Mit dem einzigen was Plan ohne Cover. Am Ende kann das Ganze ordentlich downspielen. Kann vielleicht sogar noch runtergehen, wenn ich mir da ist. Aber er kann auch einfach mit dem Tier drücken, dann mit dem ja, vorne zu laufen und das Tier trifft, egal wer das will. Und dann ist die nächste Runde. Und das ist dann der letzte.
Es ist der Matchpoint.
Underly piekt in den Scope von Ecoxe. Somit ist Underly raus. Und Team Hijack, sie haben die Überzahl, setzen den Breach an und gehen Richtung Spot. Da steht aber noch einer im Weg. Da ist Hapfe, der ganz genau weiß, wer auf ihn wartet. Geht rum, Hapfe mit dem Double Kill. Knackt die Button raus, das Plant Duo ist. Top East rein. Und ja, Leipzig Esports, sie sind Top East drin. Aber zu den Slot Attack da einfach, weil sie nicht weiter vorankommen. Jetzt erstmal Jack gegen Polgy. Slorax aber hinterher gegen Reno. Somit fehlt die Flankwatch wieder einmal. Ich habe gerade nicht drauf geachtet, wie viele Gadgets Grid schon platziert hat, aber ich glaube, es waren nicht allzu viele.
Nein, sie hat auf jeden Fall noch ein paar in der Hosentasche. Und wer auch in der Hosentasche ist, ELX und nämlich die von MixQ. Es ist unglaublich. Zieht sich Nero jetzt langsam ein bisschen zurück, weil er weiß, dass die Shotgun da auf Close Range absolut den Vorteil im Gunfight hat. In der Zwischenzeit Osama rausgezogen. Das war's für Ivan und jetzt muss Claudi ganz alleine auf
So,
der
Last
Shotgun
Alive
hier.
mit dem Rappel. Wo war der? Da.
Siehst du? Die Prophezeiung. Ja. Siehst du, und Nero weiß auch genau, wie spät es ist. Nero weiß absolut Bescheid. Natürlich. Es ist allzeit bekannt. Es ist Claudi. Claudi im Upside-Down-Repel ist wie Cory zum Teamkill. Es ist 1:1 das
Schimmer. Auch das kann ihn so ein bisschen retten.
Ja, genau. Und Claudi muss jetzt schauen, wie er diese zwei Gunfights isolieren kann. Und natürlich ist jetzt das Thema für Nord bis Süd, dass sie nicht isoliert werden und dass sie halt eben diesen Refrag ziehen können. Sie sind alle ziemlich low HP und so ein C4, das kann schon richtig gefährlich werden hier, wenn es richtig fliegt. Die Shotgun und die SMG-11, das sind beides Waffen, womit man absolut mit so viel Leben noch gewinnen kann. Das C4 fliegt hier rüber und holt den ersten auf den Diffuser. Das ist Panosa raus mit den 7, zählt rum. Holt sich Claudi. Zumindest im Englischen sagt man das so. Ich weiß nicht, ob man das auch so ins Deutsche übersetzt aus dem Sprichwort, aber auf jeden Fall, Punkt bleibt derselbe. Was ich dazu sagen muss, in den ersten 4 Runden, ja, Nord bis Süd haben komplett ins Gesicht bekommen, aber der Ansatz war auch richtig. Und das ist das, was mich motiviert hat, noch so ein bisschen, wenn sie nicht fangen können, was die Gunfights angeht, dass man sie wieder sieht. Aber genau das haben wir ja letztendlich gesehen. Hier der erste Schuss jetzt, dann von Ivan, der es schafft, Panosa rauszuziehen, der ein bisschen zu aggressiv overpeakt hat.
Trade mit der Boomline, aber, wie schon angesprochen, das reicht nicht.
Ja, und was aber auf jeden Fall reicht, ist Rorik, der da einfach irgendwann mal rausziehen kann. Jetzt ist es Croxel alleine gegen 4 und die Gumine, das war nochmal schön knapp, aber am Ende kommt da noch einer dazu, killt einfach die Person raus und kann einfach sagen, hey, hier, ich rette dich. Und das ist Rex am Ende, der sich Shock so rauszieht und somit gehen wir auf 3-3 auf den 3-3 Road Swap.
Und 3-3 Roll-Swap ist, sag ich mal, ein sehr, sehr guter Roll-Swap für eine der zwei Mannschaften. Ich glaube, wir können beide sehr, sehr gut rauslesen, für welche Mannschaft das, sag ich mal, der gute Roll-Swap ist. Seiner Map nähern, merkt man den Teams schon ein bisschen an, dass sie ein bisschen Spiel schon Indos haben und die Energie ein bisschen nachlässt.
Ja, ich meine, es ist die dritte Map des Tages. Die haben lange jetzt gespielt. Auch bei uns die Energie. Der Outfall kriegt den ersten, kriegt den zweiten Bein in der Drohne. Lampe, das darfst du nicht. Lampe, das darfst du nicht und das darf nicht ungepunished bleiben. Ist es aber. Es bleibt total umgepusht natürlich aktiv. Und auch da sage ich eigentlich, geht's vorbei, aber Packbull sagt, nein, 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 Jungs, haut den Monty um und kann einfach sagen, hey, Double Kill hinterher, jetzt ist es nur ein 1 gegen 2. Es ist alles machbar. Ying hat keine Candelas mehr, somit müssen sie sich gerade auf ihre gesamte Frag-Power verlassen. Diffuser ist nicht auf der Hand der beiden Attacker. Und hier ist die Frage, wer sieht zuerst einen Kopf vom anderen? Wer kann hier den Kill sehen?
Defense ist gewonnen. Muss man jetzt aber auch irgendwie schauen, dass man irgendwie diesen Twister drehen kann, weil die Jungs von Giga, die wissen eigentlich auf dieser Bombe, die wir jetzt spielen, da musst du eigentlich den Punkt mitnehmen in der Defense. Aber das sieht hier ganz gefährlich nach was anderem aus. Das muss man aber auch ein bisschen im Hinterkopf behalten, ob man potenziell weiß, dass ein Packbull da unten ist. Da könnte ein sehr, sehr cheekes C4 kommen. Ich sehe da potenziell gleich 3 Leute fighten. Aber nein, man hat Packbull auf dem Schirm und holt. Also ist eine Menge an Aufgaben, die du hier in 3 Minuten bewältigen musst. Und das müssen die Jungs von Giga natürlich auch in einem gewissen Tempo halt alles hinterherziehen. Jetzt hat man das große Problem, dass Rexon halt natürlich von seinem Team in die geblendet wird. Und das ist halt der große Nachteil, weil Selim und Thiese somit einfach durchziehen können. Die sind nicht genauso heavily flashed. Und somit collapst das ganze Kartenhaus von GK. GK macht
Zurückdecken. Zuki hat eine Lücke gefunden, holt sich den Duo raus. Währenddessen geht der Blend auch vollständig durch. Es ist nicht im 1 gegen 3. Mal wieder noch ein Blackbeard auf der gegnerischen Seite, aber ja, er findet den ersten Flag gar nicht, aber muss er nicht. Den Dream killt Zuki hier und damit hat er jetzt nur noch ein 1 gegen 2. Kann auch den Blackbeard raus.
Es sah so aus, als ob der hinten am CC-Window stand. Aber ich habe es nicht so wirklich mitbekommen. Kann auch sein, dass er in Gym gestorben ist. Das habe ich nicht so mitbekommen. Aber anderweitig, du hast ja einen June gehabt in der ersten 2 Runden, die halt in die Pocket gegangen ist von Chillgaze, der sehr aggressiv reingespielt hat. Einmal wieder aggressiv gegenspielen oder halt komplett sein lassen. Und wenn du da so halb reinpiekst gegen den Nume, der weiß halt, dass er swingen kann, dass er halt da den ganz Skill hat, um das halt rauszuholen. Das war halt so ein bisschen so ein Smack ins Gesicht von Iphoton, der dann aber auch geholt wird von KSA. So viel Druck von den Jungs von White Tigers, dass man sich jetzt hier wirklich verteidigen muss. Und jetzt erst den ersten Druck. Holt sich der, holt sich den zweiten. Andy Early holt sich den dritten auf Arco. Und jetzt dreht sich das ganze Spiel hier von White Tigers, die jetzt hier aus einem Druckszenario auf den lieben Monty 3 Operator verlieren in kurzer Manier. Und Zeit ist auf Full HP. Andy und Hafle sind low. Man holt sich den ersten auf Andy. Man muss jetzt hier den Plan abbrechen und sagt, es ist genau im Zeitpunkt. Im Zeitroster ist er da und holt sich den ersten Umfeld. So viel Druck von den Jungs von White Tigers, dass man sich jetzt hier wirklich verteidigen muss. Gibt jetzt erst den ersten Druck. Holt sich der, holt sich den zweiten. Andy Early holt sich den dritten auf Arco. Und jetzt dreht sich das ganze Spiel hier von White Tigers, die jetzt hier aus einem Druckszenario auf den lieben Monty 3 Operator verlieren in kurzer Manier. Und zeigen, es ist auf Full HP. Andy und Hafle sind low. Man holt sich den ersten auf Andy. Man muss jetzt hier den Plan abbrechen und sagen, es ist genau im Zeitpunkt. Im Zeitroster ist er da und holt sich den ersten Umgang.
Nein, es müssen wirklich die Waffen sein. Die Sophia-Stunts kommen durch. Wir aber keinen Spieler wirklich finden. Die Red Pinks noch mit dazu. Somit auch das Feuer. Wunderschöner Kill. Der erste steht, der zweite leider aber nicht mehr. Somit immer noch die Oberhand bei Team Leisure. Man versucht hier nochmal von der Seite. Man kommt zwar durch, aber es wird leider nicht reichen. Denn dieses Mal war es wieder die Oberhand. Und die Kills ganz Anfang dieser Runde immer wieder entschieden haben. So etwas, dass wir in den letzten Runden immer zusammen mit Banana jetzt versucht, die Partie da rauszuholen. Der erste ist schon mal geinjured. Ein bisschen Chaos ist entstanden. Der zweite fällt mit dazu. Man versucht sich zu erdaschen, aber das war das Problem. Da dreht sie sogar noch. Max holt sich jetzt 2 Spieler von der einen Seite, macht es zu einem dritten. Das 1 gegen 5 besteht. Ramsey liegt. Tidal, der letzte. Er schafft zwar einen, aber schafft er ein paar mehr. Von überall kommen Schüsse, von überall sind Gegnern. So viele Gunfights, aber leider Max, seine Waffe hat ein paar zu viele Namen drüber geschrieben. Die Schüsse, die haben gesessen von Max.
Wurde haben wir dann noch ein Kill bekommen, aber der Kapitän hat ihn nicht ganz auf dem Schirm, aber gegen Breach, gegen Yasin hat er dann auch nicht mehr allzu viel auszurichten.
Die Top-Floor-Kontrolle nimmt, weil der komplette Bereich oberhalb von der Bombe natürlich hier reachable ist.
Aber er sieht ihn nicht.
Longarm.
Er sieht ihn nicht.
Longarm.
Er kann ihn nicht. Er sieht ihn. Snoop gegen Cloudy. Holt sich das. Ich dachte schon, er sieht ihn nicht. Da ist aber noch das Loch offen. Er sieht die Knie und schießt der Sodas gerade mal so die Kniescheiben raus und kann sich somit die erste Take-Runde für Secret Powder sichern.
in Richtung vom Solid Hallway zu kommen. Aber das sind viele Engel hier gegen sich. Muss sogar aufpassen. Sensi nimmt die Tür raus mit der Contact und bekommt diesen letzten Kill. Ja, starke Runde. Vor allem von Claudi.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Und es ist auch immer die Sache.
Gespielt. Peng holt sich den nächsten. Und alles an einen Mann von Project XY. Das 1 gegen 4. In den letzten 10 Sekunden noch zu holen in dieser Runde. Sich bereits im Verlauf entschieden. 4-4 steht. Ist wieder da. Auch ein großer Einfluss in den Runden. Der Line-Track kommt noch mit dazu, der Anruf nimmt noch mit. Der Jumpout wird leider nicht erfolgreich sein. Perfekt. Hat nicht ganz funktioniert, wie man das wollte. Das 2-5 steht jetzt. Kein C4, kein gar nichts. Die Schüsse, die müssen sitzen. Leider sitzen die jetzt für Sushi. Triple Kill, wunderschön. Flawless. LeBron Lucas schafft es gerade noch, das 4:2 sich zu holen und gehen dann jetzt auf die Defense. Close Range und holt sich den Kill raus, aber mit dem Knife noch dazu. Das 2 gegen 5 steht. Man macht ein bisschen Schaden, nicht ganz für den Kill. Und während ich das sage, Zeido piekt nochmal rein, holt sich noch einen weiteren. Wird zwar gerefragt direkt, aber das 1 gegen 5 steht. Es ist zwar jetzt ein 1 gegen 4, hätte fast eine Flawless sein können. Aber es muss ja. Man merkt hier gerade von der Seite von Never Gonna Lose, möchten das wirklich in diesen kleinen Ecken ausgespielt haben. Oh je, Mine! Schafft nicht ganz den Kill zu holen. Da ist der erste Inter, der zweite geht gleich mit drauf, aber Dramatic rotiert gleich mit rundherum. Der Demos-Track ist auf ihn. Man hat die genaue Information, der Plant wird durchgeführt, da ist der Inter und muss es aber jetzt nochmal vorsichtig sein. Man holt sich den nächsten, der dritte könnte es sein und ja! Es wird nochmal confirmed. Dramatic mit dem Quad-Kill. Das Ace noch mit dazu. Und der Klatsch, ich meine, als Abandoned mit reinkriegt. Aber hier nochmal ein kleiner Pinch. Man sieht, man möchte hier auch gleich von den Stairs. Gut, setzt dich wieder hin. Also, das war ja mal ein Schuss. Monty. Respekt. Ich muss sagen, Jimmy, der ist aufgewacht.
Where sind, bin ich mir nicht sicher. Die Shots kommen raus. Blackbeard chillt natürlich stark. Auch ein Shotgun Close hier. Wird auch noch rausgezogen. Corey mit dem allzeit bekannten Teamkill. Es ist wunderschön, dass er das auch noch mitgibt.
Käse.
Welcome everybody back to the MEISTERSCHAFT group stage. We have our final day of matches coming up, and we have Panemone up against Nepinin. Both of these teams are fighting for a place in the next stage of the tournament. Whoever wins is going to go through to the next stage. And who better to help me with this broadcast than Max and Herker. Welcome, guys. How are you feeling about this matchup? And how are you feeling? How are you feeling on the day?
You go ahead, Max.
I feel absolutely fantastic, and I'm super excited as well to see both of these teams. It is, like we have already kind of alluded to, the Finnish matchup, the kind of two powerhouses out from the cold sauna country. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of this today.
Yeah, obviously myself being a Finn, it's an exciting day for myself. Seeing the Finnish teams that we usually see in Tier 2, brawling around and going up against each other head to head. It's going to be a great game, and I hope we see an interesting game here.
Completely agree. Both of these teams, Finnish powerhouses, like Max mentioned. Herker, I'm sure you have a little bit of stock in this one. You want the Finns to win. You want them to be looking strong and go all the way through. But unfortunately, we are going to have to say goodbye to one of these teams today, because I'm pretty sure that the loser does have to leave us in this tournament. But let's go ahead and take a look at the playgrounds that these teams have picked for themselves in this matchup. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map bands. As we can see, Cafe, Nighthaven, Border Bank, all going to the wayside. Our first map's going to be Consulate. We're going to get another Fortress second map, and our decider is not going to be Clubhouse or even Lair. It's going to be Chalet, a map that is very aggressive And it's going to be very interesting if we do indeed get there. But Max, how are we feeling about these bans, and are we going to see that chalet?
I do think something that's interesting is the fact that Neponen and Panohane both have a relatively similar map pool. So I think all of the maps are going to be pretty competitive. But Panohane in the T2 scene are really known for being one of the best teams on both Consulate and also Chalet. So if we do find our way all the way to Chalet, then I'm relatively certain that it will be over there. But at the same time, Neponen definitely aren't pushovers on either of these maps. So I think it can be quite close.
Yeah, I completely agree. But looks like we're going to be getting into this matchup very shortly. We're going to have the Battle of the Finns to see who goes through to the next stage of the tournament. And our first map is going to be Consulate. See you guys after the map.
Well. We do find ourselves on Consulate here, and having talked about the bans here, I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself yet, but having talked about the bans on this map, we saw a lot of Kite and Bandit banned out yesterday. That leads itself to the formulaic of those maps itself. We see a lot of the breaches being important. We see a lot of step by step, plan by plan, getting that step one, getting those breaches open. And I'm kind of hoping we see something different on Consulate here today. It isn't a map that is that formulaic. There's a lot of hooking to be done on this map, and I hope Neponen and Panohane both respect each other team's abilities to play these operators that aren't that common. And we immediately see something different with Clash and Dokkaebi being taken off board.
It's a fantastic start when it comes to the group of people that don't exactly enjoy seeing the same bans every single time. I know that you count yourself among that group of people. Like to see some slightly different things every now and again. We won't be seeing any of the hard breaches being banned. Dokkaebi, of course, was banned a few times yesterday, but I do think that all of these bans make a lot of sense and are quite understandable. Clash more so just kind of a comfort pick as well. It's not one of the most played operators on this map, but for a fact, there are a lot of teams that can struggle against it, and then it makes sense just to get rid of it, of course. And the mute is very strong, especially since he got buffed. The Solid Snake being taken out means that there's a little bit like less of the mute to do as he goes around, because obviously standing in those mute jammers, against the Solid Snake will block you from being discovered, as we saw yesterday on Clubhouse. But nevertheless, still a very strong operator. All of that drone denial, not the breach now anymore. But I would say in general, incredibly strong operators being banned. Maybe not the most standard bans that you see. And once again, we'll be seeing some beautiful artwork being done here on the Nari.
Yeah, Versatile really putting that operator to good use. I like the mute ban myself. I'm a very big proponent of it. It really allows that Deimos to run wild and free, as we just see Jax picking up the Deimos on the Thermite, just as I had mentioned it. I seem to be cursing myself here more often than not, but should that Deimos pick have gone through, Hurlis on the Scopos here and Mr. Agent on that pulse, they would have been free grass for that Deimos to eat, so to say. But the track's not coming through this time.
We're going to be seeing a really aggressive start here from the side of Neponen. Obviously, this being one of the more defender-sided maps, despite the fact that the last time we saw it here on the stream, it was incredibly attacker-sided for some reason. But this kind of early aggression, especially around the roam, around the Visa and admin side, is exactly what you want to be seeing from a team like Neponen here. They'll be bringing the fight in early, and we're going to have an engagement here between Nifsu and Pilis as well. Swings around with a pre-fire, gets a few shots out, and manages to get the first pick here onto Nifsu, the entry pick on the first round, going the side of Neponen.
That Scopos being a really powerful operator, we see kind of seldom picked. It's not that popular in professional play, or even ranked for that matter. You don't really see that operator often, but it is very strong. That AR packs a punch. You can swap robots. You can swap your position, your health total, your ammo value on the fly. You can help your teammates across the map at a second's notice. And a thing a lot of people often forget is that punch. Scopos did gain the quote-unquote a Rooney punch ability a little bit earlier this year, and it is very influential if played correctly.
Seeing the entries coming through here, and Jags, he can also push into sight. He knows there is a bulletproof cannon he needs to take care of before he can go for the smoke plant here. The Pole's managing to get one, and Virtual picking off a second as well. That's Lambe and Nifsu both down. The plant will be going down. C4 coming through as well, but it misses its target in the 2v4 situation here. The plant is down, and a good flick here from the Pulse, putting now over into a 1 versus 3 situation as he manages to pick off the Pulse. He's going to have to hold here passively to get the defuser. The swings come in, and Pulis manages to get his double kill, and the first round going to the side of Neponen.
Yeah, this is standard concept that we see. We did get a nice plant down there. Panohane really Saw that site being quite open, managed to sneak the plant on through, but that roam going unclear just collapsed down onto the attackers at the end, and there wasn't quite enough for them to do there. They were shooting fish in a barrel, and Neponen get the first round out of that basement site. And we are going top floor this time. I'm interested to see if we will see the demos from Halva here coming through, as it was not picked last round. With the mute being gone, there's nothing really to stop those scans, and it can be quite an influential operator shooting upwards from the first floor.
I could tell that you have never played with Corey when you said that no one ever really picks Skopos, even in ranked. Because I don't think I've seen a single human being in my life pick that operator more, even in comp, even when we're playing. The amount of times, if his operator is banned, he will just insta-pick into Skopos and then hit out the default line of, oh, Valkyrie's banned, that's okay. Skopos basically does the same thing, is genuinely unheard of. But I guess there's a reason why he isn't playing in this tournament at this point. But nevertheless, like you said, we'll be moving up to the top floor. And we're seeing a trend here as well with Agent really enjoying these UMP operators. Been picking the castle as well, which is not an operator that you see all too often when it comes to the top floor side of Bank, or consulate at all, really. And so it's quite interesting to see how they're planning on using him out. Obviously, that first castle barricade on that double door and spiral stairs will be able to kind of deny that long angle that you can get from the skylight to make it a little bit easier to extend out and over towards the copies or coffin side. It looks like the approach from Panohorne here is going to go mainly over this kind of yellow side as well. The Flores coming out here to pop that castle barricade relatively early on, and so that's utility traded. But the bulletproof cam on spiral stairs will be able to stop that drone at least for a little bit.
Yeah, the castle being a really, really good operator, oftentimes slept on. Well, you do need that specific setup and that plan and that idea on how to use that operator. But along with Mira, along with the zombie, those maybe a little bit more often picked operators, Castle is an architect, and it does change how the map itself is played. You can make places that are normally unplayable be able to be played, and places that are very good be very bad for the attackers quite quick. It does change the playing field a lot, as we see the Monty of Yegs walking very, very close to sight at 2 minutes left on the clock.
You see Jegs moving all the way up into the connector. He's going to have to kind of make sure that he doesn't get flanked too much here by Virtual, who's going for an aggressive angle as well. And they haven't quite spotted out that Castle, who's playing close on the CO window yet either. While Pulis, we see, moves down into the basement here. That Castle getting that pick now on the jump out. Not quite refragged on the way in, but Lambe gets 2. And so now they can make sure that they can set that plant down. Jegs going for the Castle spotted down below, but he manages to pick off yet another player. Jegs still putting that plant down. So that is going to be placed now, and it's another post plant here for Panohorne, and Nifsu getting another kill onto the Castle. Now Rexy and Pilis in a 2 versus 3 situation. That Monty is still on board here. Obviously, he doesn't really want to be sitting on that rappel, so he's going to be holding the jump out here to make sure that Nifsu can play a little bit safer. Gets the knockdown here to the first player, while Rexy's baiting that defuse, trying to get a little bit of a bait coming through here to get the peek out. But Pilis on the jump out is caught, and so now it's only Rexy left alone. The Valkyrie gonna swing through, get 1, but he gets refragged as well by Nifsu. And so now Panohorne have managed to bring it back to a 1-1 split. And you would say that this is exactly the way that they need to keep on going.
The Montaigne seeing a fair bit of play here, already picked on the second round, an operator that we really didn't see yesterday be played at all, having been banned out every single split. And now that Panohorne have banned out that clash, there's very little to stop that Montaigne, aside from the crosses being held out. Obviously, Panohorne is aware of that. Very powerful operator getting the plant down. I like the fact that they've gotten the plant down twice already on a map. They're clearly not going for the frags. They're playing for that more objective style gameplay and getting that plant down in the little cubby of CEO console room. That really is a death sentence for the defenders, as you have to jump out, you have to try to get picks onto the rappel, and that is just not something that has a very good success rate. So plant down, they got the round, very beautiful, and we are heading back down to the first floor, actually, tertiary side coming out from Neponen.
It looks like they don't want to be going back to that top floor there again. And what you say is completely true. I think one thing that's really important to say as well is that Panohorne in general are an incredibly plant-focused team. In Combine, actually, they had, or Nifsu, sorry, is actually the player with the single most plants throughout all of Combine. He had 31 plants, which is at least 17 more than the next highest player. So they're really a team that want to be focused very heavily on getting that plant down and also kind of playing the objective after that plant. because once you have that plant down, obviously attacking becomes a lot easier because you essentially turn yourself into defenders. So every time that they find an opportunity to slip into sight and get that plant down, like we saw in the first round as well, even though they maybe didn't have the best position and not all the control that they have, the plant opportunity was there, and then the post plant is what let them down in that situation. I think we'll be seeing them try that a lot more as well. So we see Jags jump down here onto yellow and make this early approach again.
You see Mr. Agent pulling out the UMP again, playing that castle. Maybe a little bit of a band bait going out here, as I like to say. A lot of teams will often play a specific operator very, very much in the first 3 rounds, hoping to get that band, and then they swap out to the real strategy on the second quarter of that half. As we see the mountain of Yegs getting that pick, and Halva getting 2 in a row on the Deimos AK with Gatomala picking off Halva with a melee-able.
It's another man advantage situation now for Panohonen. Explosive entry from Nikas here together with that Ying shotgun. So strong as the Monty drops down onto site. Katu hears that out as well, and so he's going to go for a drop, try and contest here. They don't have any feet lines open, so he's going to have to open a hole here, but Nikas on the verticality, he's going to be able to catch him off. Pedis, when he tries to swing around, can't find anyone else. Lambe closing out the second round as well here on the side of Panohonen. It's looking very positive because that 4-2 split is what you're looking for as a defender on this map. And Panohonen already have their quota finished for the attacks.
Finished, I like that. We're heading into the second ban phase here, and I'm honestly, for Neponen, I think the lifeline is banning the Monty out here. We've already talked about how plant-focused Panohonen is, and Jegs on that shield with that tier 1 experience that he had for a long time on Fnatic and a bunch of other teams, I do believe as well. Just overpowering the defenders here and getting those plants down on that shield, being able to act as the living drone. I think that ban is completely warranted. I don't think there was really any other options for Neponen there. They had to get rid of the Monty, and then Panohonen reinforcing their strategy of that plant heavy playstyle with the Goyo ban, which is very good on this particular map. We don't see Goyo banned out that often, but excellent for stalling time, excellent for stopping those plants. Those canisters are deadly, and not to mention the TCSG and the Vector, both very good guns.
Absolutely, I'm a big fan of both of these bans as well. Although that being said, the problem with banning a Monty when Jegs has been playing it is you're now letting one of the single most lethal players, even when he was back in T1, onto a gun. Part of me feels like it would have just made more sense for an opponent to just play more trap operators and try and deny the Monty that way, rather than allow Jegs to have fun on guns, because once Jegs gets going, there's absolutely no stopping him. We already saw yesterday in the games how dangerous it can be when a player of this kind of quality and caliber really gets going. We saw Jegs on the hard breacher last time as well when they were attacking the basement, managing to get that breach open, get that plant down. But I'm pretty sure once we get to the top floor sites, he will be unleashed onto some more aggressive roles as well.
I mean, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Would you rather fight up against that Monty, knowing that shield is coming to you, as Perlis actually picks up Nipsu? Double spawn pick, I believe, from both the Jaeger of Rexy and the Scopos. Very nice play from there. But yeah, do you want that knowledge of having to play up against that Monty and what dangers that particular operator brings? Or would you rather, as you say, unleash Yegs onto something that you don't know that is necessarily coming, and then deal with that unpredictable factor in the mid-round? And Neponen have elected to ban out the Monty, which I still think is a valid choice. There are ways to play against the operator, but it's a popular ban for a reason, I think, now.
Yeah, 100% agree. And at the end of the day, that Monty is just a strong operator, no matter whose hands it's in. You see the drone being taken out here as well. That information denied as Rexy drops back down onto the site as well. Alba going into a more aggressive position down spiral stairs here. And it kind of looks like Panohonen have given up the hope of really establishing a lot of map control. Obviously, the operators they bring, having lost out that sledge, make it a lot more difficult to play some proper verticality as well. And so I don't know if they're going to continue to try and go for it here, as we see Peerless also playing aggressively onto the yellow stairs. He's going to go into a fight with Nikas at some point, while Lambe also needs to rotate around. Sees the rotation here down onto those server stairs. Peerless managing to pick off Nikas, as I'd already mentioned. Swing around here, doesn't manage to find anyone from Lambe. The flashbang comes out while Virtual gets Horva. And this roam is really proving too difficult for Panohonen to break. Jegs picking off one here. That's the first that he gets with the gun, but Katu in an off position manages to catch him out. And so now Lambe is in a 1v4 situation. He needs to come up with something absolutely special to be able to bring that round back here. But now that Pedis is rotated back to side, it's 4 players on the basement side for Neponen, and only Lambe left, as I said, One flashbang left in pocket. We see the first aggressive peek come through here, and a wonderful pre-fire from Lambe. Manages to find Pilis. The aggression here of the Scorpos proving just a little bit too much. There's 50 seconds left here, and Lambe will feel like he can do something now that he got that first pick and has the diffuser in hand as well. He's going to have to watch out here. The bulletproof camera is going to be feeding back information on his whereabouts the entire time. The rest of the players of Nepon and showing off that they have the discipline and the control that they need here to bring this round back. We see them edging ever so slightly closer. The information of the shield and the bulletproof cam is going to be enough to feed it back to Rexy, who swings around and secures the final kill of the round as well.
The scope was proving very, very influential in the round. And I think Panuhane having a little bit of trouble clearing their roam on the basement. That's the second time they've that Nepponen has picked that basement site. Second time they played the Scopos on it, and second time that roam has been very good and very successful. So I would love to see Panuhane a little bit go more onto the Deimos. Maybe the Deimos is unbanned. Nepponen decided to not ban that third information operator with Dokkaebi and Snake out of the game, meaning that the Deimos out there to hunt the Scopos should that become necessary. And I think it was necessary last round. They essentially lost the entire round to the fact that they could not get a handle on the roam, and then just lost manpower off of it and spiraled out from there. So I would love to see a little bit more of an active player, maybe with a blitz, maybe with a Deimos, using these sort of operators to get the man count advantage into Panuhane's pocket earlier in the round.
Absolutely, obviously losing an integral operator like that Sledge also doesn't help when you're trying to clear out against a roam like that. So they made it a lot more difficult for themselves than it needed to be. But at the end of the day, it can be forgiven when you do lose a round or two on the attack side of Consulate. It's really not the end of the world here. They're going to be working towards finding another round at least to kind of go above and beyond and get a little bit more than they expected here going into the map at least. See the two Finnish sides communicating in their native language there. I think we need to get the Twitch chatbot in to remind them that this is a English stream, and so we should only be speaking English chat, as the Twitch bot so nicely reminds us always.
Don't worry, I can translate for you should that become pertinent. Thus far, they're not saying anything of actual that much importance. Just a little bit of banter back and forth. Nothing
They didn't think about the fact that one of the casters is going to be able to understand what they're saying, so this is a slight oversight on their side.
Yeah, obviously, me being such a well-known caster, and Rexy picking off Halva on that Zofia with, I think, full utility in pocket still.
That's such a cheeky pick, though. He knows that he's just spamming all of his bullets into the window to open it up, and he just swings into it, hoping that he's not going to be caught astray, and manages to pre-fight the exact position that he's at. I'm really, really confident there from Rexy. Really nice to see as well. The rest of the defenders fall back now, but PBS is cut off by Nick S. We see Virtual here also getting a little bit more stuck, but Rexy is there to support him. Nades come out now, so he's going to have to swing around to somewhere. The nade is enough to down him. Swing from Rexy, he's not going to be able to find anyone's head. He goes around, but it's the Blackbeard there who can cut him off. So now the rest of the players of Nepponen have managed to fall back to the site. All three of them that there are. It's a man advantage situation for the side of Panuhane as they aim to clear down into the site now. And so Agent is going to be peeking a little bit more of an aggressive angle here to try and get back that man advantage, which you obviously need to do to be able to close out this round. They do still have a lot of utility here on the side of Tachanka.
That's an operator we actually had the chance to speak about. Very, very influential on a map like Consulate. You often see Tachanka being played on, for example, a Clubhouse, Dark Zero actually popularizing the strategy of playing towards those rafters. Very interesting. But Consulate layer, these maps where that plant denial is very good and a very popular strategy. The Tachanka will go towards Bank also being one of these maps, especially that basement side. But overall, a very good operator, and Panuhane clearly being very wary of the time and the trap presence standing up like Goyo, but that of course leaves the Tachanka and the smoke. And as I say that, the Tachanka of Kabayumala does go down to Lambe on that F2. Very, very good gun, and a very good person using that gun.
He's going to try and go for the swing around here. Doesn't quite manage to find anyone. He's low HP, so he can't swing into the fire, but he does manage to deny the diffuser. Panikas will be waiting behind him, be able to pick him off here with a wall bang. He has the information, obviously, on where the swing around is coming from the Aruni. And it's a really cleanly played execute here from Panuhane, rotating around that Twitch to push up spiral stairs late on in the round. Really made the big difference there, being able to cut off that front desk position. And so really well thought through there from Panuhane to be able to clear out those key positions and push through. And obviously really good work on clearing out that roam early on as well, getting 2 picks out of that whole situation. just a very well played attack all in all. And they'll be feeling confident now as they go into a sixth and final round, looking for their 4th win on the attack.
Already going above par on Consulate. I have a bit of a feeling of a flashback here, Maxwell. I don't know that one of that infamous Consulate game of all attack, no defense.
Please don't say it.
There's a lot of attacks to be won here, but Thunderhorn are already going above par for Consulate. You're usually expected to win either 1 or 2 attack rounds. Them already winning 3 is more than they are expected to win. I like the inclusion of that shield last time as the eggs is swapping onto that blitz. You're using that spearhead. Only the Montaigne is banned, so you can play the Demos, you can play blitz, you can play Blackbeard. You can even play the Fuse shield that we've seen a couple times already in this tournament, as Mr. Agent is loving that castle really, and these setups that control space with the castle barricades. I'm very interested to see how Panohane does deal with that, with Hauba on the sledge. The sledge is already being picked up early in this game once, and Hauba dying very early on the Zofia last time, so we'll see how long he stays alive here, and will that hammer have impact on the castle barricade?
He's made it into the building this time at least, so he's already made some progress. This is what we call improvement, and that's exactly what you want to see from round to round from these kinds of players. And honestly, part of me just wants Panohane to lose this round just so that it doesn't give me too much flashbacks to that previous game that we had on Clubhouse. Never ask a Meisterschaft caster what happened on the 22nd of July on the map Consulate. But what we'll be seeing here today on the 27th is Nifsu getting picked off first by Pelias, and so an entry pick for Neponen here on that tertiary site. They'll be feeling good going into this round, looking to get that 3-3 split. Obviously not really in their favor, but they'll be thinking that they can do something if they just get that last round here. Katu playing in an aggressive position here on Spiral Stairs. Jaeger having to fall all the way back from benches as well, getting all the way back onto his side as well. Ella standing close here. The smoke coming a little bit too late to catch off the ace charge here and stop that from being shot. But Pulver here is pushing up the staircase, and Katu doesn't have the information. So he's going to find his way up. That wall is going to be opened, and the shield is going to be able to jump in as we see Pelias here aggressively on the window from stock as well, but no one outside. I guess is slowly rotating around, and if he isn't aware of that aggressive position, Pelias might be able to get a second pick here on the window while Virgil is still holding verticality on that breach that has just been opened.
That's position on the smoke being very, very good. You can throw those smoke grenades below off of that verticality. I believe the strategy was originally popularized by Surf of Shopify Rebellion, at least at the first place I actually remember it, as well as get a nice shot on AKS and possibly even the blitz of Yegs, now flashed out. And the kill not confirmed yet as Lambe goes for the melee of all things, as Virtual does get a kill onto Lambe from the verticality.
Yeah,
just a baffling gunfight.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got the top-down POV of that, because that was really something. And Jegs is just chasing players into their teammates. He gets a few shots here from above, so now they'll have the information on where the smoke is playing as well. But it's going to have to run away and try and get back here while the castle is still sitting alone on site here now. Smoke really terrified of that blitz as he sprints all the way across the map. Really making sure that it doesn't get caught out here. The castle will be aiming up these verticals to try and be able to pick off that blitz, and because he's so low HP, he's going to be able to find him as well through that verticality. Now it's Halver here alone in a 2-versus-1 situation. The smoke is also relatively low. He doesn't have any more toxic babes left in pocket, so he won't be able to deny this plant with that utility. At least the time is honestly running low as well, and so the castle's going to be able to swing around here and make sure that we get a 3-3 round swap here on the first half of Consulate.
3-3 half steal, as I remind you, above par for the attack as you would expect. I think Neponen wanted to get more rounds. I think 4 is the bare minimum you are expected to get on Consulate here, unless you see an anomaly like that Consulate game. I know you said don't keep reminding of it, but I have to. It is burned into my retinas as well as yours. So, going into the other ban phase, I think Panohane handled that attack quite well. It is, after all, 3 rounds, and it is a very, very good split for them. As we see the Tachanka that I spoke about earlier going through being banned now, not escaping the ban phase, along with that Montaigne of that shield being just so darn good in many situations, and a lot of teams just not wanting to deal with it, Panohane included. I'm expecting to see maybe a clash ban here, as Panohane do play it on Consulate. No, we will see a Denari and a Ying ban. Denari, of course, being, I would classify it as a pseudo arcade operator, that hallway position being very good with the Denari traps. And then the Ying, execute potential, the potential to clear out rooms, that shotgun, the smokes, just overall just a fantastic operator and doesn't see the limelight a lot or enough in the ban phase.
Yeah, I think that's to try and band out that Panther now. We already saw how strong it can be in previous games. Obviously, the one time Neptune tried to play it, it wasn't quite so strong. It's quite nice to see here Nifsu also going for that pulse play, but instead of actively participating in the prep phase, he's going to be hiding himself away here early on in the path through to make sure that he doesn't get caught out, droned out. As we see some interesting operator picks here on the side of Neptune as well. They'll be relying a little bit more on operators like Galaz and Blitz here, going for these more X-Factor kind of plays and executed scenes rather than the more standard build-ups. And so it'll be good to see how they go ahead with that. And another operator, which we don't see so often outside of set plays, the Aurora comes into the mix as well. So we've seen quite an interesting lineup here from the side of Neptune on the first attack here, and I'm quite interested to see how this is going to go.
Already Nifsu running out of the building with the Reaper trying to hunt for those drones. Very interesting. Oh, let me just orient myself to this attack half. So we see that Azami coming out of Lambe, a very good operator as well. I've talked at length on many broadcasts about how Azami is just a universal operator, play on literally everything you could imagine. Just a very good operator everywhere. And we see a Tubarao as well, a character that we didn't see picked on the defense side of Neptune, I think, bringing out that C4 maxing potential, along with the pulse of Nifsu to provide information and a DMR on top of it. Well, we see Vercha actually getting picked up by a double C4 from Jags as Kato also falls on that Blackbeard. What a play from the Tubera, as I just talked about the C4 maxing that we so often see. So we're in a 3v5 now for the side of Nepal and Panuhora in a very, very strong lead with 2 C4 still on the board. The Azami on board, 3 smoke canisters. I'm excited to see how Nepal actually go for this crackdown. They've bought that the glass on the side of Agent, 2 smokes in pocket, a plant still may be possible if you bait out those C4s first. We can have 2 information operators on Rexy and Phyllis. The glass actually going down from the head of Agent, Nikas swinging onto Phyllis on that smoke, and Nikas getting the other one of Rexy. Just a very nice conversion of a double C4. Very great round from Panuhane, and it takes them into the lead.
Absolutely, it was well played there. That double entry pick from the C4, obviously massive. And then a clean way to finish off the rest of the round as well, picking up those trades when they needed to at the very end. Also just making sure that they're playing the positions as they need to, not overextending, not giving anything to Nepal, especially when they have these more interesting operators on board, making it a little bit more difficult to kind of coordinate the way that you want to play the defense when you're coming up against things that you haven't seen before. So we won't need to be worrying about that as much now as we're going down to the basement. We'll be seeing a relatively interesting lineup as well here for the Roam from Panorone, as I'm assuming, with the Solus and also the Vigil coming out here, the Mirror to be able to support onside and the Legion to cover the gaps. So it looks like it's going to be a bit of an extension here as well towards the copy and admin side, which is something that we don't see quite as often when it comes to this map, at least. Definitely playing that top Visa side, just trying to contest as much of the map as possible, really.
Yeah, we saw the Roam coming up on Nepal and on the Scopos here, and Halva electing that Vigil. Vigil, however, is immune to that Demo scan, is immune to that Snake scanner. Should they bring it? Panuhane haven't banned out any of those Intel operators, so the Vigil is a very powerful pick and a very influential gadget here in this round. Lambe also on that Legion, very interestingly, an operator that after those nerfs, after having his shotgun taken out and that gadget being toned down a little bit, hasn't seen a lot of play as he did before, but now coming in to counter those shields should Nepal bring them, which they haven't elected to do in this round.
For sure, the operator isn't quite as strong, but obviously that T5 SMG is still incredibly strong, and so I'm just going to just play that a little bit for the vibes. I think he's going to try and see what he can do with it. We're seeing here as well Thatcher and the Thermite combination managing to get that breach open here against the Cade. I wanted to see there for a second if maybe Nikas manages to Cade trick the wall here, as it is still possible, especially when there's no nade coming through or anything of the sort. It does make it a little bit more difficult when there's no Tubarao on site to help you out. So he concedes that breach and lets it get open, while Lambe concedes the entry kill and gets a second as well. That's that whole combination for the breach opening done and dusted. And so while the operator might not be as strong utility-wise anymore, he can definitely still do a bunch of damage because no utility in the world, well, except for maybe a Capcan, will get you a double kill like that early on in the round.
Legion, however, did I was wrong in my last statement. Legion, however, did get a small buff last season, or this season actually in the mid-season patch. I believe that gadget recharge timer was buffed a little bit, but still missing that shotgun, that very integral setup piece. And for the Roamer specifically, opening hatches, opening lines of sight, the Super Shorty would be a very welcome thing for the out of Legion. Obviously, Phyllis going in for a very aggressive play and just narrowly missing the hatch drop from Yegs.
That was good aggressive gameplay there, and Jags using that timing to his advantage, making sure he gets back onto the site, especially when you have that double entry pick. You can still hold on to control a little bit just to kind of slow down the side of Nepon again so that they don't have the opportunity to really regain control. But at the same time, you don't want to overextend, really risk losing your life there, because the worst thing that you can do in a two-man advantage is to give away a pick somewhere. But we are seeing Horva here hiding away in lobby very aggressively, seeing if he can go for a late flank maybe, if you see verticality being created here with the side of DMRs. And on the side of an Nepon, they do still have all three of these DMRs open to make verticality, but they've never brought anything for that verticality besides that. Horva decides to reveal himself here with an impact grenade. The timing is just off, as X-Rexy was just about walking away there, just about going around the corner. But it's a little bit unfortunate with that. He's being hunted out. Now the pre-fire coming up from Peters as well to clean that over. And now there's 30 seconds left in the round. They'll try and execute onto the site here in a 3 versus 4.
A lot of things, I think we often see on Hibana for the verticality is kind of multitasking. You have the DMR and bringing up a very beautiful kill on the Phyllis and EX finding Verkaya. But Hibana bringing those soft recharges for the verticality, multitasking with that DMR, those soft recharges, and the hard breach gadget, just bringing a jack of all trades. And as we see the Solus finishing out the run with the shotgun of all things. Another thing you often see as well, a lot of people opting for that P90 in competitive play.
Yeah, what you were saying about the Legion, of course, as well, losing that shotgun is kind of the similar thing with the Solus. Some people just prefer that shotgun when they're out on the roam, just because you can have the ability to make your own rotates. And at the end of the day, these people, a lot of them really do just love the SMG-11 and will almost prefer that gun over the P90, even though the P90 is kind of like the bigger version of the SMG-11. I feel like really low damage, high fire rate gun. But obviously, that's a personal preference thing as well. And having that extra shotgun does offer a little bit more flexibility when it comes to the setups and such, especially on such an extended roam. It would be a lot to ask of the mirror on that stretch specifically to come all the way upstairs to start making rotates for you to use. So it's good team play, I think. It's good team play.
It's good team play, and that shotgun, while not being getting damage, is good for the rotates. And as I often say, I do have a friend who is a very big proponent of that P90 or playing it all the time, and I will say to you, as I have said to him, the P90 is not your main weapon on that character. It is the SMG-11. You are taking most of your gunshots with that gun, and then or using that shotgun for the utility. No Soul is bringing out this game, but a lot of shotguns still. 3 SAS shotguns from the side of Halva, Nick, and Yegs, bringing those Mossbergs. Very, very powerful gun. That is compared to those shotgun flawless.
Yeah, those things are, I mean, they are fueled by belief. There's no actual bullets in there. It's only your belief in them. That's all it is. But they can do a lot of damage. I've been sniped by that gun across, like, it feels like half the map. It feels like half the map.
Believe in the shotgun and it will believe in you. I am very big fan of the Church of the SAS shotgun. I love that thing. Another shotgun that we haven't mentioned thus far is that Amaru, another operator, not seen very often. Often used for pocket plays and stuff like that. Bringing the Supernova, another beast of a shotgun, also available on Echo. Not used very often, but very, very deadly in the right hand.
The breach being open here, and it's going to be a quick execute as they run in, but they're not expecting, however close. And so Katu and Agent are both taken out, while Nifsu manages to get out virtual as well. Peters with the refrag here on that SMG-11, laying that gun as well over the shotgun. And however, Nick has cleaned up the last 2 players here on the side of Nepon as well. The idea was definitely there for the quick execute. But the problem with that line is you just really telegraph that there's going to be a quick play coming. And so you have a few seconds to get into that off position, just like Halva did there close to the breach. And he managed to make great use of that, pick off 2 players trying to push in. And at that point, the round is really gone because you can all focus yourselves onto that main stairs, onto that spiral stairs. And we saw how quickly you can go from there. for now will have the opportunity to ban out two more operators.
Beautiful pocket from Hava laying down in the corner and getting two with the SMG level, one of them being HTL, and we see Solid Snake and the Azami being banned out. Azami, of course, just that universal usability, good on every side, good on every map. I don't think we need to hash out that operator anymore. It's just an S tier operator that is arguably bannable in every phase of every map. There's never a bad reason for that. I think same applies to the Solid Snake. Just a very good operator overall, very good gun, very good gadget, very good versatility, and Banuhan have elected to get that out, and they've gone for like a hybrid ban here, very interestingly, getting that Montaigne out, getting that Ying out, and getting that Solid Snake out. So we have shields, we have execute utility, and we have intel being all banned and weakening them all just by a little bit.
Absolutely. Obviously, Neponen were trying to go for a lot more of these kind of niche plays, like quick executes onto positions, and that Solid Snake can just give you so much information when it comes to those kinds of plays that I understand why it's being banned out here. To give a good example here as well for this top floor site, a lot of teams try to go for that quick execute out onto the CEO onto the CEO window. And if you do have the Solid Snake available, you can just sit on the rappel and feedback information on site as to where all of those players are standing. And players that are trying to deny that plant or that are trying to go into plant can just have a little bit more information when it comes to that. But we'll be seeing something happening without information here as well, as Halva is ready here for the rappel up. He's just waiting and listening for someone to rappel up either on those windows over on the admin side or on the balcony itself so that he can swing out and take a pick here. But obviously, if you see from downstairs that this breach is open, you will be wary of this. So it doesn't look like anyone is rappelling up on the side of the windows for the time being. It looks like Halva is going to have to concede this breach after a little bit without finding a kill.
Staying here for over 30 seconds, and on that operator of smoke with the three toxic babes in pocket. Should that spawn peak go slightly awry and that Hava loses his life on that breach, that's a very, very bad thing, as we see Mr. Agent going for that quick plant, I dare say, with the Grim, or maybe threatening him a little bit, trying to hope to fish out some utility. We have Nika as in that corner with the Warden, not intimidated by any smokes, and does find a pick on the Rexy of the buck, solidifying their control over the verticality.
Oh dearie me, and Pillis manages to get another pick here as well onto Nick S. And so the man count is re-evened up. Swing coming around here, Katu being picked off by that TCSG of Jegs on the rappel as well. So that's the shield down now too. And it's going to be another disadvantage situation here for the side of Nepon, and kind of Hornet managed to get back into positions and back where they need to be to deny that plant and deny that possibility. They know that there is one below who will be trying to play verticality here as well. So Jegs drops down to contest him and just make sure that he can't enter into piano properly. But PDC will be electing to go the other way around and go back up these spiral stairs. And so Jegs below becomes essentially unusable. He becomes essentially worthless. So we see a swing come through here, and the timing just about betraying Helis, so he can't contest anything. The smoke canister coming out, finally flanked and killed by Jegs as well. And so Panohorne is systematically picking apart the remainders of Nepon in here. They're swinging around, they're taking gunfights, they're picking up everyone that they need. Nifsu took one too many onto Lambe. It's a 2v1 situation here, sorry. And it suddenly becomes winnable. It was a 4 versus 1. Now here the last few gunfights, the last swings coming around. Virtual picks one out to Jegs, and now it's only Nifsu left. The plan will be going down. There's proposed information here, but none of the players from Panohorne are in cams. They're all watching Nifsu, all seeing what is happening here. And that C4 manages to spare the blushes of Panohorne, spare the blushes of Nifsu himself, who almost threw that round away. And so the first map will be going out to Panohorne.
Yeah, very beautifully played overall. But I do think we have a host who would also like to talk about this map and how wonderful it was.
Extremely exciting, and Panaone, they made it close in the first half, and that's all they needed. They took it away in that second half on the defense, and yeah, it seemed like it was going to be very, very even up until that side swap. And I mean, Eriker, what went wrong on the attack, or maybe even what went wrong on the defense for the side of Neponen? Because normally we do see it be pretty defender-sided, and Panu at least did show that they are a good defender-sided team on this map.
Oh yeah, one thing I really really paid attention to, especially on that first defense half of Nepal, and they got a lot of opening picks. Panuhor were bleeding bodies in the early portion of that round, but just not being able to convert them into round wins. We see a lot of 5v4s turn into 4v4s, turn into 4v3s, turn into 2v3s, and then Nepal just losing that round off of that. And I think that's something that had a big influence on the game, just not being able to convert the opening picks into round wins.
Yeah, and do want to say, Katu, not the best of maps on attack. He did find himself on the shield quite often, but still on defense, not putting up those numbers. 2 kills in the entire map. Max, is that going to be a thing that continues? Is that just a side product of the role that he plays, or do we expect more out of Katu?
I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, when you're finding yourself on shields a lot of the rounds, you're not going to expect much on their own attacks. They were really in without a chance on a lot of rounds. Like we said with the defense as well, when you're playing against such a plant-focused team, it can be difficult sometimes when you're not the person taking those entry gunfights, like we were saying, like Kirk was saying. Obviously, the spawn peaks coming out quite frequently from Rexy, I believe. He's kind of the more aggressive role there. And so if you don't manage to get the picks there, you will obviously either win the round off of those picks, or you'll find yourself losing the round kind of before it even gets to the point where you get to do something. And then you find yourself in that kind of 4v1, 4v2, 5v2 situation. And against a team that's as coordinated as Panuhone, those kind of man disadvantage situations are incredibly difficult to play. They're one of the teams that are best at converting man advantages throughout T2 because of the way that they can coordinate and kind of, as we saw just then, really pick out individuals and force them with 3 or 4 people. It becomes very, very uncomfortable when you're that last person left alive against Panuhone. And so I just think that the way that these two teams match up, it makes it very difficult for a player like Katu when you're in those more passive roles.
Now, Erica, we saw a pretty heavy trend for the side of Nepinin on their defender side. Agent, Castle, and Pulse almost every single round on the defense. There was only one round where he was on a Rooney that he wasn't on those 2 operators. Is that something that might be in for a little bit of change for them? Because it didn't really seem to work out the way that they had intended.
Castle's a little bit more of a less popular operator on the next map we're going to, which is Fortress. But I think I can speak for everyone here that we saw what Pulse is capable of in yesterday's Fortress match, getting a nice 2K with that C4. So if he wants to keep playing that Pulse, I think that's fine. There are a lot of opportunities for that, a lot of opportunities for soft floor, and Fortress, of course, being quite a large map, and Panuhone working as a very methodic team. They could go for that late round plant denial onto the soft floor, which Pulse excels at. So we shall see what the game plan is, but I'm interested to see.
All right, well, Maxwell, Hillis fell in all but 1 round. Was the top fragger for the side of Nepinin. The trade game seemed on point for Panu. Is there something that Nepinin can do to try and more enable Pillis or enable his teammates to try and avoid those constant trades that Panu always seem to find?
I think it becomes very difficult. Maybe there is a way that they can work a little bit better with the kind of information, but obviously Panuhone will ban out those information operators as well if they feel the need to. The main thing with Panuhone that you just have to be aware of is that this has been one of the most dominant teams that we've seen throughout the T2 history of Europe. And sure, they maybe haven't been playing at their full potential recently when it comes to some tournaments, but they will be. They continue to show throughout Combine, throughout everything, the entire last year, the year before that as well in T2, why they are so strong. And it is just that consistent ability to play down those man advantage situations, and also that kind of systematic pressure that they can put out throughout teams. And it really takes a fantastic individual performance. Now, I think that that's absolutely possible for Pillis to do. But I think one thing that you'll notice on the side of Panuhone is that there hasn't been anyone that is like that one standout player, that one person dropping 15 or 20 kills like we saw in the matches yesterday, but rather they are working very well together as a unit. And to be able to break that unit, you really need to be playing above and beyond what every single player not just can do individually, but as a group as well. So I think it's more so motivating him, kind of pushing him towards being even better as an individual, and maybe supporting him more with drones. But it is a really, really tough nut to crack against Panuhone.
Yeah, I completely agree. Erica, going to map 2, Fortress. It is going to be Nepinin's map pick. Do we see Chalet?
That's a very hard question, actually. Of course, getting more maps, getting more casting, that'd always be great. But I just saw a very dominant display from Banohan, and I don't really feel good about Nepal's chances overall for just a map that Banohan also likes to play a fair bit, I do believe. And the wind is shifting in the air. I don't think it's Nepal's turn to. As Maxwell said, they have to go above and beyond. They have to get these individual insane performances. They have to go full ambi on that stack if they want to win that. And it's always a toss-up. I really can't say for now, but I do think Banohan does have the advantage.
Max, we seen that third map of Chalet?
Yesterday I said categorically no, and then it happened. So today I'm going to say categorically yes, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, I'm going to head to a short break, and we'll be back with Fortress.
50 Sekunden. Und Drama fehlt vielleicht ein Kill noch vor den 20ern und da haben wir es. Die 20er-Bombe zuletzt nochmal delivered. Und somit Never Gonna Lose holen sich hier die ersten Punkte.
Ja, richtig starkes Spiel von Never Gonna Lose. Sie waren schon am Anfang auf der Attack extrem stark unterwegs. Dann ist es
Monty was anzustellen. Ein gutes Teamwork bis jetzt. Muss aber vorsichtig sein. Nono, wenn er ein bisschen oversteppt, könnte er rausgeholt werden, denn der Pinch wird gerade schon aufgebaut. Und Steno, er sorgt dafür, dass Nono wenigstens ein bisschen sicherer auf den Stair spielen kann. Er versucht es doch nochmal um die Ecke zu swingen, aber wird leider ohne Erfolg sein.
Ich kann das Gekicher von Cory schon im Hinterkopf hören, wie er gerade mit der zweiten Echo-Drone da hochgefahren ist. Kanio schafft es auch noch, Sushi rauszuziehen. Und jetzt heißt die Devise wegrennen und zurückkommen. Denn wenn sie es schaffen, hier mit dem Man-Advantage wieder zurück onside zu kommen, dann sieht das Ganze richtig gut aus. Nono und Daya ziehen sich auch beide noch Gegner. Und Pandi bleibt jetzt hier offenbar ganz alleine. Und Nono, eine Flawless-Runde nach der nächsten. Die dritte in Folge hier. Und diesmal war AZB wieder dran. Die Frage ist, können die Old Men in der letzten Runde von ihrer Attack nachsetzen und auch noch eine Flawless-Runde oben draufsetzen? Oder sind wir jetzt mit 3 Flawless-Runden hintereinander ein bisschen am Ende angekommen? Auf jeden Fall eine starke Defense, der Echo da extrem nervt.
Geht aber immer noch nicht vollzogen. Man kann immer noch nicht planten und jetzt endlich sehen und man hat die Pinks, man versucht es.
Panosa! Das sind 2 Magazine daneben! Das darf dir nicht passieren, der Ping ist doch da! Zur Not tappt noch durch, bis ein Teammate sagt, ey, du hast ihn getroffen und dann schießt durch. Aber nein, Panosa versemmelt 2 Magazine, Millimeter neben Steno. Diffuser
Deswegen muss nur noch schauen, wie der Ace da durchpusht. Haben jetzt auch die Informationen auf den Spieler Back, Deep Armory. Da ist auch noch ein C4 vorhanden. Dieses muss auch berechnet werden, wenn es Richtung Plant geht. Smoke geht down, um den Angle von Ivan zu covern. Und jetzt kommt Kokse mit dem Plant. Der Plant, oder nicht Kokse, Entschuldigung, Jack mit dem Plant und Kokse mit dem C4. Das C4 misst aber und deswegen geht der Plant down. Das Schild von ELX wird gedownt. Und jetzt bleibt nur noch Ivan am Leben, der gegen 2 Spieler schießen muss. Gegen Exe holt er auch noch raus. Das ist ein Double-Kill in der Runde jetzt und der letzte Kill. Sie haben den Info-Ping. Genau diese Info, die ich vorhin besprochen hatte, die so unglaublich wichtig ist. Sie wissen genau, von wo Jack spielt. Er hat natürlich den Long Angle hier auf den Diffuser, was ist unglaublich schwierig macht. Keine Keeper-Barrikaden mehr zur Verfügung. Er muss hier durchpushen. Er muss rumziehen, um den Kill zu holen. Er sieht den nicht und Ivan zielt Jack auch noch raus. Wie er ihn da wegkommen lässt. Ich sage die ganze Zeit, Ivan, es ist plantet übrigens. Unglaublich, dass sie plantet aus allem. Suchen hier irgendwie den Kill auf Katsche zu kriegen, solange Katsche am Leben bleibt, können sie hier nicht planten. Deswegen pusht er ihn jetzt. Katsche zieht rum, zieht Burst Eggs raus. Macho und Slorax ziehen 2. Und Macho zieht auch noch die Mira von McPandy. Was sich da gerade in Stock abgespielt hat, das ist so breit wie möglich, um einfach zu sagen, hey, die Zeit lassen wir ihn gar nicht, um die Runden zu holen. Shio wird hier gedownt, Sushi wird noch vom Macho Mann rausgezogen, 12:4 steht er jetzt inzwischen. Noch einen holt er sich raus, 13:4 hier jetzt, er muss den Diffuser legen oder er muss den Kill ziehen. Panzer bleibt onside, er hat ihm die Chance gegeben, aber hat sich gerade noch so verstecken können und zieht Macho Mann raus. Das Ace wurde hier denied. Unglaublich starke Runde für Macho Mann, aber hat nicht ganz gereicht.
Ja, das war genau das, was ich meinte. Wenn der will und wenn er die
das komplett durchzupushen, Burstix muss den Plant abbrechen und muss versuchen, hier irgendwie den Kill auf Katsche zu kriegen, solange Katsche am Leben bleibt, können sie hier nicht planten. Deswegen pusht er ihn jetzt, Katsche zieht rum, zieht Burstix raus, Macho und Slovax ziehen 2 und Macho zieht auch noch die Mira von McPandy. Was sich da gerade im Stock abgespielt hat, das ist wirklich wieder unglaublich hier, dass die Vertex diese Runde noch aus dem Grab sich gesichert haben. Genau, und was jetzt als erstes wichtig wird, ist genau diesen Spieler auf den Solar-Stairs hier rauszuklären. Ich bin mal ganz interessiert, hier richtig schön zusammengespielt, die Koordination, um das Fenster aufzuschießen und dann gleich den Engel in die Side reinzuholen. Da fällt Shio dann auch direkt als erstes und das ist
auf den kommenden Spieltagen. Aber da auch wieder gut verbannt von der Seite von NordBC. Shield
das Feuer, die Clash ist raus.
Panoza wird mit dem Feuer rausgeholt. Richtig gut, das ist ein Shield Operator weg. Jetzt könnte man eigentlich wieder den Schild mitgebracht. Letzte Runde war einer der einzigen Runden, wo sie keinen Shield Operator hatten. Jetzt haben sie Hapfel auf dem Blackbit. Es ist zwar kein Blitz, und das muss man auch fairerweise sagen, aber Blackbit kann genauso sein. Also ich habe hier wirklich Erwartungen, dass sich NordBC vielleicht die Runde sogar holt.
Mono? Was war das? Angucke. Du machst einfach mit Thatcher Thermite die Wand auf, Jinx rein, Monty rein, Norman hält die Flanken, Lukas zum Plant down, versucht den Diffuser verteidigen. Denkst du, das kann passieren, oder?
Alle 4 Spieler sind natürlich mit der Torwahrscheinlichkeit passieren, denn der Monty ist schon drin, der Plan passiert währenddessen auch noch. Anderli und Nero holen sich hier jeweils 2 Kills, nochmal ein dritter on top. Es ist nur noch Corey und Daya, die letzten 2 Männer, die stehen von der Seite von Team ACB, eine eher schnellere Runde. Es ist gut angekündigt, man hätte es erwarten können und man sollte es auch von der Seite von Team ACB erwarten. Ich meine, Corey, du bist doch der Mann mit dem Hirn. Sollte doch eigentlich klar sein, in der ersten Runde sollte man mit jeder Überraschung rechnen. Sind wir auch schon langsam 23 Sekunden noch auf der Uhr, allzu lang gibt es nicht mehr. Die Nomad Trap, Daya wird rausgenommen von Anderli und Corey dann nochmal am Ende mit dazu.
Ja, das ist ein guter Starter, aber auch das gehört dazu. Wir sind erstmal Blitz, pusht rein, wird auch einmal geschildbreak, geht da mit der Pistole rum, holt sich X raus. Da hinten ist aber X, Blitz ist raus, somit so ein bisschen, ja, der Pusher-Charakter ist raus. Jetzt probiert X hier durch die
a map that we have seen yesterday, a map that Abandon is very comfortable on, Neponen doesn't shy away from playing, and already we're going to the bans, we're seeing something pretty interesting. We're seeing the Snake be taken out, we're seeing the Thorn be taken out. Clearly, Neponen doesn't want to deal with these traps. Thorn, a very powerful operator ever since...
ever since she was buffed recently, yeah.
Ever since she was buffed recently, yes. And it just... an overall very good pick, and we have a Warden ban and a Glass ban coming out as well. Warden not very seeing often, but a very good ban, and that Glass kind of countering, or maybe the Warden ban countering the Glass ban here. So not really having a great impact on the match, but Thorn, Snake, very good bans.
Absolutely, they're 2 operators which can really do a lot of damage. Glass is also one of the most banned operators when it comes to the map of Fortress. And so it's quite interesting to see that being banned out here. Obviously, Neponen showed their willingness to play it throughout that last map as well, especially on those attacks, on those first... They only did get to play 4 of them, but on that first 3 rounds, they basically brought the Glass every single time. And so I understand why it's being banned out here, and that Warden ban looking like it's going to be very influential early on already with those 2 flashbang operators coming through on the Ying and the Blitz. So Panaone are going to have to find alternative solutions for those. But I'm sure that they have thought about this. I'm sure that this is not the first time they have to play without the Warden. It'll be interesting to see if they manage to come up with that solution, especially with the Thorn banned out as well, who is typically kind of that secondary kind of counter that you can play to operators like the Blitz, for example.
Yep. Having that Glass be banned out does kind of help the situation of Panduhone. They're now having to deal with those smokes and that thermal sight as well. But that's a Ying, that's a Blitz. Those are both operators that flash, and not having the Warden is a very, very big deal, as you said, with the eggs going fishing for a C4 here very early into the round.
And we've got the shield already in position as well, and Halva manages to pick up that first kill here on Tapilis. Managing to pick him off here on the Solus, playing down here in that bathroom in that Hammam kind of side. He sees the Blitz as well. He's going to fall back here early on. The Blitz with the shot coming out, but not being able to pick him off here. Halva dancing around those main stairs, trying to drop back. He's going to wait here now while Nick has managed to pick off Katu as well. So it's a 2-man advantage here for the side of Panaone while the flashbangs are coming out onto Nifsu, onto those stairs as well. Just going to be jiggling around here, holding onto that position. Smoke canisters coming out as well to deny the barbed wire. There's 2 minutes left here and already really good advantage for the side of Panaone as the Jag swings around and just to pick off Rexy as well.
Collapse on that Deimos falling down very early as Mr. Agent has the chance to get Nifsu. Does down both of these operators actually of Nikkei as on the Goyo and Nifsu on the smoke, but still in a 2 versus 3 effectively a possibility to bring that up to a 2 versus 5. Not looking great for the side of Nikkei as Virtual actually picks off Lambe. This is looking more and more doable by the second as Yegs picks off the Twitch, and we are in a 1 versus 2, possibly 1 versus 4 if those kills do get revived.
They do manage to pick Nifsu up here, and so it is going to be a 3 versus 1. The swings coming out from Virtual. He's retaken sight. The diffuser isn't in his hands. He gets another pick onto Halva here as well. And so with 1 minute left to go, he's got more than enough time. The shotgun of Nifsu playing close, while Dex is going to be trying to play any long angles that he can find with his DMR. Nifsu falling back here as well as those Yin canisters come out and scare him off a little bit. C4 thrown as well, and so that's no more throwables on the side of Jegs. Flashbang coming out here to put on some extra pressure as well. Just going to have to jiggle around here and kind of play around the utility as best as he can. Maybe flashing off the smoke to make sure that he can't swing up the staircase, but he's just going to be playing that passive angle as he knows, dropping up and down here from Jegs as well, and bait out anything that he can. Virtual has picked up the diffuser now, and he's going to be pushing back onto the site. Try and find a safe position to plant, which will be going down now. Smoke canisters not being deployed. Wallbangs coming through, but it's not going to be enough to deny the plant here. Jegs is going to be able to find it down, and Nifsu to confirm. And so it's the first round here for Panaone.
Very, very intense round. Looking very bad for Nepponen in the start, but almost bringing that back. That just by the slightest of margins that could have gone either way, but Panaone do get the first round on the defense of Consulate. Expected to be 1 of 4 that you're winning on this map. Still very defense-sided. That Blitz and the Ying not having quite the impact that Nepponen we were wishing for, nor that Deimos that went unbanned. Getting picked off very early, and I'm thinking we're going to see some more spawn peaks here as Nepponen have shown that they can be spawn bait, they can be can have that man advantage taken away from them very early into the round as we go into the secondary side of this map, which is the other top 4 side.
So he will be switching out here into that game side. Maybe playing around this main breach. Obviously, like we had said yesterday, they don't have the Wamai available this time to keep that breach closed for a little bit longer. But they do bring the Clash, which was banned out in the last game. So Panaone showing that it was probably smart from Nepponen there to ban it out, although at the end of the day, it didn't help them much. And the Nikes is going to be bringing that out together with the castle, making it more painful to try and push in through these long hallways that we discussed yesterday. Nikes will be playing aggressively around Soda Machine as well, putting out a lot of pressure on these people playing outside of the breach, Katu on the ace there, he will be having his life made difficult by the aggressive peaks of the Clash, feeding back information for anyone who might want to peek out behind her.
We already talked about Clash on that first map on that and in that in-between section that we had. Now this time it is Yegs on the UMP, and set up, designed to waste time, designed to have these positions you can play with the castle barricades. We do see a Flores coming out to counter that, so there clearly is information that the castle is in play, but I'm interested to see how they will deal with that Clash that you have mentioned. It's a very strong operator, a lot of hallways, as you have already said. Just not something you really want to go against on Fortress. And I'm thinking already to the next ban phase here after a couple of rounds. Do we see that Clash get taken out? That is one of the most nasty operators you can have on this map, honestly. And I don't see any others that have posed quite a problem to Nepponen thus far.
But the idea of the strat here is definitely working, as it's a minute off the clock and Nepponen not being able to find any success when it comes to entering the site yet. The breach has been opened here, so Nikes will be forced back to kind of deny that entry point here. Those aggressive peaks that I mentioned coming out, and he's going to place that shield down here. Doesn't quite manage to catch them swing around. So he's going to pick that shield back up and get back onto the site. The Dokubi call coming through here as well to make sure that he needs to fall back a little bit more as the first few picks fall through. Jegs and Nifsu both being taken off the board here. Pilis picking up the second kill onto Jegs. Katu's in a bit of a dangerous position here. The fire of the Chanka is going to do so much damage here, and he's going to have to swing around into the arms of Nikes, while Lanbei also finds a Burkal after taking a lot of damage. Pilis with the refrag here. He's found his way onto site. A few shots come through on the Tachanka. He manages to fall back onto the staircase, and the information's going to be brought back here now from the Clash. Super swing coming up from Hauver as well. The 2v2 situation. Clash shield is being placed down, and so there will be an angle played here. And now Nikes just has to make sure that he doesn't overpeak. Phone has been let to explode, and so that won't become an issue anymore. Manages to pick off the Flores here, and now it's only Rexy left on that DMR. He's going to have to push through. He gets stunned by that Clash shield, running at the Clash, but Nikes with the swing around and the pick. That Clash doing so much damage late on in the round, just being able to dance around that electricity, managing to pick up 2 for her troubles, and winning that second round as well for Panuone.
Yeah, not to mention that the Tachanka firing out that person inside of the corner, forcing the swing right into the arms of Nikke. Very, very nasty to go up against. That that lateral roam on this first floor site of kitchen, along with another kite and another smoke. So a very, very typical Panuhone that we see, with Phillies going on that Ash, hoping for a hero play, as we almost saw last round.
Yeah, one great thing about Clashes as well is that she actually, as an operator, takes less damage when that phone explodes than the other operators do. I think she only takes 20 damage points instead of 40, as all of the operators do. So it's a little bit less of a problem for Clash to let that phone explode, as it only puts it down to about 90 HP instead of the lower HP values that you'll find on other operators. Just giving you a little bit more confidence for the next time that you play Clash, in case you are facing up against a Dokkaebi. We won't be facing up against an Ashe anymore this round, as Nikes managed to find the first pick here on Pilis as well. The quick entry of the Ashe, this time not being able to find anyone as he did last time around. Site setup is still going on, and Nepponen have already lost their first player.
Yeah, Gato Jumala going on that blitz again here. We saw a lot of shield play last game, didn't quite work out for the side of Nepponen. Now that Clash is no longer up on this side, actually. So that blitz will have a more of an impact, along with that Lion and Dokkaebi that we see often to control these movements, control these roams, as we see the push in the medical go ahead.
Swings coming through from Jegs here, the refrags coming out as well. And so now it's only going to be the Zafia here together with the Dokkaebi to be able to bring this round back from the clutches, as Jegs manages to confirm the kill here onto Katu. We do have medical control here, but as the Zafia falls, it's only Rexy left alive here. The Dokkaebi, he hasn't been able to find a kill so far this game, and he's going to have to find 4 to be able to win this round for Nepponen, to deny Panuone the perfect split here. The ability to go 0-3 in the first few rounds. The swing around is going to come from the left from Halver. Rexy won't know about it, and so he's going to be taken off the board as well, and it'll be an almost flawless round for the first flawless 3 rounds. Very well played here by Panuone.
Yeah, side rotation complete. Getting those 3 rounds, very important. We're having that commander's office site again unlocked, if I'm not completely wrong. The shield staying unbanned here, so I'm thinking that Nepponen might actually want to ban that Clash out, as I said, and then you try to utilize that Blackbeard, that Montaigne, that Blitz possibly to get more control of this maps. They're leading picks quite early here. And we do see the Glass and the Blitz actually banned out, so we will have that Montaigne, we will have that Blackbeard, as I just mentioned, up to try to get some control, try to force Panuhone into unfavorable positions. But still, very solid defenses from Panuhone, and we are going back up to Commander's office.
Yeah, this is the site where they struggled a little bit towards the end there in that 2 versus 1 situation, kind of leaving a lot to be desired there in the way that they played the first, but although ultimately they did win the round out from it. So it hasn't been that much of an issue, at least. So we see a slightly different setup here this time, with the Mirror being brought out together with the Bandit. Obviously, they didn't play Clash last time around, and so that won't affect them all too much when it comes to the bans, at least. But a little bit more of an extension here this time. It seems a little bit more of a layered strat, playing around that kind of bathroom side with that mirror window here, extending all the way out to the other side of the map. However, playing the Bandit as well to deny the breaches out all the way across. So we'll be seeing them contest this entire top floor here against the Monty, who's being brought. We discussed yesterday the shields being so influential on this map here because of these long hallways that you can push through. So just being able to kind of contest through here without putting yourself into too much danger on the Monty. So I'll be interested to see here if Nepponen managed to make good use of this. maybe they found the solution that they need to now. Maybe the Monty is what they've been missing all along.
Another operator that I was quite keen on seeing from Verchild there, having swapped off of it at the last second, kicking off onto that Grim instead, was the Buck. Vertical pressure, there's a lot of softball on this map. Vertical pressure is quite important. You can pick off those mirror windows, you can pick off important positions and isolate players and force them to basically move with that utility. Grim also does that to a lesser extent, but you can just choose to sit in those Grim Bs and not really care about it if you have that cross, if you have that support for your teammates, as Jex goes down very early on the aggressive throw on the Mira. C4 in pocket, not in use anymore.
Yeah, you can definitely stand in the Grimbies if you want, but you can't stand in the bullets that the gun of Gridlock shoots out. And Jegs is going to have to find that out the hard way here as he gets picked out early, allowing the roam to enter. That being said, there's already been a little bit over a minute played in the round here, and Epponen only just pushing into games, and so they are making their way definitely through towards the site in a relatively good time, but they're going to have to contest it with this next layer for Rome here, as Verchild opens up the wall here with Grim Hardbreach Gadget to allow an extra angle here into Bathroom. Nick Guest managing to pick off Peters though, and so now no more Hardbreach available on the side of Nepponen, as Verchild has also used his second Hardbreach Gadget, and Rexy with a lovely shot here onto Lambe, taking out the Ella as well, bringing back the man advantage for the side of Nepponen. And it looks like they might have found a solution here. Grim giving the information now while the Nomad is taken out on the jump in here. Just a little bit too quick here on the entry while Verchild brings it back once again for the side of Nepponen.
No ace charges in play anymore. Pillars dying with 3 of those still in pocket and the AK-12 on that fragger as we have discussed. Very good gunner going down early in the round. However, with a C4 still in Nifsu with those 2 toxic babes, we are under a minute. So while Nepponen does technically have the man advantage, does still have the Montaigne up, does have some of those Grim Beats. No utility on Gridlock though. I'd still say Panuhan have a very good chance of winning this round if they played their cards correctly, if they played their utility correctly.
Absolutely, and that first kill coming in from Culver here as well, managing to pick off that Gridlock of Rexy. So now you only have the shield as well as the Grim left here with 1 smoke left in pocket. The smoke is thrown out and the timing is just not on the side of Nifsu here as Verchild pushes in exactly as the smoke drops. Katsu getting damaged quite heavily by that smoke canister. Could that be what gives the difference here, especially with that C4 coming through? But it's a wonderful shot from Verchild here off of the sound cue of that C4 being ripped, just swinging around and pre-firing, getting a shot there in the middle of the ADS animation. A little bit of luck. It has to be on your side as well if you want to be winning these rounds. So Nepponen finally bring it back here for their very first round on the attack.
Fixing any issues that they might have had on that top floor attack last time. Quite a different strategy overall. That Montaigne does get played and does get a good effect with Verchild just going for an absolutely insane play, jumping over that the half wall portion there that defenders usually sit on and getting the kill. Wonderful play, and it does gain Nepponen their first round. Panuhan is still in the lead here with a scoreline that we kind of do expect from Fortress, and we go to the other side of that top floor with the mirror still in play. Heavy flank on our strategy with Nick Ash on the Goyo and Nifsu on the smoke again with Yex on the DMR, getting a very nice pick last time we played this side from Panuhan.
So we will be seeing the Monty again as well. That working out really well for the side of Nepponen in the last round. So Katu is going to try and go for a little bit more of the same. Obviously, that Gridlock being brought as well. Such strong utility, no matter what side of the map you're going for, to be able to deny those flanks, which Panuhone are likely to go for, or at least shown that they will be willing to do so. But Katu's shield just allowing them to take more map control, a little bit safer, having a little bit more information. And if they can execute plans based off of that information, it looks like Nepponen have kind of found a way that they want to play out the rest of these attacks. They've seen that it works out well, and Katu, we spoke about him already before the map or after the last map at the very least, speaking about kind of the role that he finds himself on and the way that he ends up playing here. And he's just kind of understood now that this is what the team needs to win, and he's more than happy to sacrifice his own stat line to be able to do that as well.
Another interesting play coming from Halva. I think this will be a pre-play C4 on the default plan of A. Another thing I want to fix your attention on is that Brava being brought out. Actually, Nika shutting down Bill is not quite having the impact that an aggressive entry frag on that Ash would hope, as Yex gave Kato as well. Monty down on the ground. But still, that Brava, a very good gadget, very good utility that you can gather from that gadget, hacking and using the defender's utility against themselves. And when you're out of those gadgets, well, you're just a gun and you might as well just go all hog wild on the enemy team. I doubt we'll be able to see that this time, as we are in a 3v5 with limited utility on the side of Neptune.
Yeah, not only on the side of Neponen, but also Panohone, they didn't really bring anything for the Brava to hack here. And so while the gadget itself is quite nice, the gun is good as well. If you're playing it for the gun, you might as well just play Capitao, because at least he brings something which can be useful here in the round. And so maybe it was a little bit of a miscalculation on the side of Neponen. Maybe they didn't have full information and they were bringing it just to be safe, just in case there were traps being brought on the side of Panohone. Obviously, there is the Ella, but that's not something that you will typically be hacking. Obviously, Goyo cannot be hacked by that operator of the Brava as well, so you'd much rather be bringing a Twitch, for example, to take care of something like that. But at the very least, like we said, it is a very strong gun. She brings the secondary shotgun as well. Some smokes on the side of her too, so she does bring something that can be used here, while the breaches can't be opened just yet because the side of Panohone did bring the Tubarao to be able to deny those breaches here, while the smokes of Nifsu will be holding off the push through the hallway for the time being. And so they're just working on dwindling down this time here, holding on to these things, these positions as long as they can. You see Rexy down below as well, in Hammam, just kind of spreading themselves out, seeing if they can go for any flanks around, seeing what they can kind of pick up here. It's going to just be a round of patience here for the side of Panohone. They have the man advantage. They just need to hold on. Svelchop pushes in and sees the feet of Jegs here. Doesn't quite manage to get the confirm on the kill either, so Jegs gets away with his life just about. As Rexy jumps in to kill Lambe too. And while they've repositioned here now, it's starting to look a little bit less promising as Rexy gets the kill with a nade, swings around here. The shotgun managing to pick up Svelchop, but Rexy with a refrag. It's a 2v2 situation here. Triple kill for Rexy. Brava picking up a third here too, and so Nick S is all alone here against the Brava. He needs to get the swing around while the plant is going down. The impact grenade is coming through. The HP is low, but it's not low enough. Just gonna wait for the swing around here on that bomb chassis is what we see. The head of Rexy, he manages to get the 4th kill for himself in the round, and also the 5th kill in the round for Neponen, who managed to win the 2nd round of their attack here.
Yeah, was looking kind of grim for them in that mid round, having stalled out quite heavily on that briefing bathroom side, but then bringing it back with excellent utility usage, nading out those positions, knowing, hey, there's a guy laying down on the ground here. Can you chuck a nade? Nade gets chucked, does confirm the kill, bringing it down to a 3v3, and then just going for that plant and converting it out. Very well played from the side of Neponen. And we're seeing momentum kind of swing onto their side, bringing the Brava again, which I like. And now that we have that Denari on board, not the most valuable target, but still something for the Brava to hack. I'm still thinking, could a Twitch be more impactful here? Is there some read that I'm missing that of why that Brava specifically is being brought out? Actually, being popped up for that. For the floors now. So a lot more force, a lot more destructive gadgets being brought out. But overall, very good round for Neponen. And this final round of this half, I'm excited to see if we go to the side of Panohone or Neponen. Do we see another 3-3 split on a defense-sided map, or will Panohone get the expected split of that 4-2?
I think that getting a 3-3 split here for Neponen would obviously be fantastic, and probably even better than what they expected going into the map. But at the very end, it is also their map pick, so they will have been confident going into this no matter what, knowing or feeling that they can take Panohone down here if absolutely needing to. Well, we've seen Katu back onto that Monty again. One round, he was incredibly influential, and in the second round, not quite so much, losing his life very early, and obviously that's not something that you want to be seeing from your shield player. You're trying to play that whole situation down a little bit more passive to get the info here as well, and get away with his life. As Svelchop is also very careful with his rappel up here, making sure that he doesn't get caught out by any spawn peaks, clearing out the default cameras, and just kind of going through the motions here early on in the round, as you tend to do in those first 30 seconds.
I'm still looking at that Denari pick here. I personally, I don't know about you, Max, but I love that operator. So much potential for what you call cooking on those straight white gadgets. Bringing the shield as well, a very, very good piece of utility. And of course, that Scorpion in the right hands, a powerful killing machine. And I'm excited to see what Lambe can do with it, as we have another 5 versus 3. I think I cast a curse Virtual there. Lambe bringing out the Scorpion, shooting it at his head, and picking off 2 very, very important value utility operators early in the round.
Yeah, that one goes down to you for sure, as he gets taken out the exact second that you say that he can do some absolute damage there. So he does take him out, manages to get the second pick here for the side of Panohone, and that 4-2 split is looking more and more likely as we keep on going. That being said, Pilius does manage to pick off one here. Reinforcement being baited through, explosion coming through as well. It's not quite enough, and that does mean here now that we have one defender with, however, being locked
kind of into this position over by the soda machine. Rexy managed to pick off Jegs, who comes to the support of Halva, and he's stuck here now in the corner. He's going to be cleared out one way or another. There's that C4 in hand, which he throws behind to try and kill the supporting caster for Monty. Nades coming through as well. Denari has come for the support this time. He takes a good amount of damage here with the flexible Denari gadgets that are thrown out here to replace that fire hydrant which was placed. The nade comes through in the end to finish off Halva. So now we find ourselves in a 2v3 once again for the side of Neponet.
Yeah, Denari gadgets is being used in that way very flexibly. A thing you see quite often. A lot of time teams will place them down in the early round and just let that Denari run around as he pleases with the gadgets already down in place. Kind of like a Jaeger, but with a different purpose, as Lambe gets that shot on the Prilis, having to answer the call here, or he will 100% die. But hey, 30 seconds left on the clock, and Neponet have kind of clawed their way back out of hell from that 3v5 split. It's not impossible for them.
It's definitely not impossible, especially with those Goyo canisters here, denying another 20 seconds of entry. And the downside to that is that there's only 15 seconds left. The smoke canister is also coming out to deny 10 seconds of pushing through that one doorway, while Katu and Rexy both decide to just push through here. It looks like Nifsu might not be fully aware, but he sees them now, manages to catch him. And it's Lambe actually who gets one, and he gets two as well. Finishing off the round here, bringing it back from the depths. He gets a 3K within that round to bring it all back. He's got that one earlier in the round as well. So he will bring Pano Hornet to that 4-2 round sweep. That's fantastically played here, exactly what they expected going in.
I do believe it was a 4K, right? He gets one on the breach, one on the main stairs, and then two more. One more at the end. Well, anyway, it's a lot of kills. I talked about that Scorpion being a very good weapon earlier on. I'm sorry, Neponet, for that round. Specifically, that's on me. I gave Lambe the power to run on the Scorpion. Just a very good round, and we get that expected score of 4-2. Getting into the ban phase here, actually, we see that Azami be taken out. We see that Monte be taken out. Neponet do not want to deal with the same sort of strategies they themselves employed on Pano Hornet, realizing how strong that shield actually is. Azami banned, not the most unique thing. You see the operator banned out quite often. And then we have the smoke and the glass bans, actually. Glass not seeing any play on this map whatsoever, and the smoke ban actually being very good. Seldom seen, though.
I do think that the glass ban is one which, especially against a team like Pano Hornet, can be really strong, just because it, in these kind of hallways with these smokes being played, it makes it very, very uncomfortable when you need to peek into that, knowing that a glass is up. It does just make it more difficult for the defense to be able to hold on to them, especially when it's paired together with a monster or a different shield. It does really become a little bit challenging and just uncomfortable. So I can understand why some team like Neponet will ban out both of those operators. Actually, obviously, having played the Monty to great success themselves, the bans definitely make sense. And also from the side of Pano Hornet, 2 bans, which again, they're really not something all too extravagant to speak about here. Like we said on the last map as well, Azami is always a good ban no matter what. Smoke is one that you don't see quite as often, but definitely still very powerful, especially on a map where you can really go for those plants in those positions like bathroom, for example. That setup here going all the way across, and we've seen the castle come through once again, maybe one of the most played operators in this series.
Yeah, well, both teams really like that that architect operator, and for good reason. Castle's a very good operator, been in the game for a long time and seen use on a variety of maps, variety of setups. We've seen that sort of SSC roam, for example, on Clubhouse, having the castle barricades help the roamers themselves hold areas of the map that are normally not possible to be held. As we see the castle barricades go towards that game side, just wasting time on the attackers. Another operator I really do like here is that Melusi. Trap being buffed very recently, slightly buffed. Just a very good operator overall, bringing lots of versatility to the team. As we see Rexy taking a little bit of damage early on in the round.
Yeah, for sure. Jegs is going to have a very important role here to clear out as much utility as he can. But obviously, when you bring so many operators with that destroyable utility, like the Goyo, like the Castle, like the Melusi, and you only have those 4 Flourish drones, you really need to make sure you're prioritizing, especially when the mute is on site and can also deny your Flourish drones if you're not too careful with them. So he has a very important job here with his last 2 Flourish drones that he has left. He's cleared 2 Castle barricades here already. So he's well on his way to doing his job. Lambe's going to have to wait here as the fire was popped. Nikas can already make his approach, however, towards the bathroom side, sees that everything was reinforced off here. So he's going to have his next job very clearly outlined for him. As another Flourish drone comes through to pop another castle, and Pelis manages to pick off Lambe, while Nifsu gets the refrag out onto Rexy somewhere else on the map. So we're equalized back down to 4-4, and the diffuser, as we see, is dropped up here on the roof. That could become absolutely devastating for Panohorne if they don't realize it in time.
Yeah, closing in on a minute left in the round, and that if that diffuser is not recovered here, and Panohorne go, wait a second, we have 30 seconds on the clock. Where is that diffuser? And having to retrieve it all the way from over there earlier in the round, or later on in the round, could be quite a bad. But Jegs does realize that the diffuser is there, and does get it, as we see Nifsu get a nice triple here, baiting the still moving corpse of Nikkei.
That was a fantastic bait here coming through from Nifsu for the 3K in the round. He's going to let him just bleed out on the ground here as more of the teammates come around to support to finally go for that res to get the flashbang here. Katu getting flashbanged out so that he can't go through and deny that pickup. While Peters is going to go for a flank here through that central stairs hallway, and they don't know. He managed to pick off one. He gets two as well here. Nick gets caught out as well. So we brought it back to a 2v2 situation, and Katu picks up Nifsu as well. And so from such a strong position for Panohorne, and Nippon have brought it back with one single flank. There's one cam that wasn't held by the side of Panohorne, and so now Halver's going to have to push through the side alone. But he won't be able to find Pilis. He manages to bring the round back with a fantastic 3K here, a super timed flank. No information from the side of Panohorne, and they really lost this round to themselves.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why Nepponen brought that that Nomad and that Gridlock very much in their own attacking half. Those flanks can be deadly, as they have just shown. You need to hold that run. You need to hold that flank watch somehow. And if you don't, that's what happens to you. Just a very, very beautiful play from Billis, salvaging an almost lost round already. As we see another Scopos coming in from Rexy, another operator that, well, as I said on Consular, isn't that popular, except apparently in your team, Maxwell. But and a Thorn Shotgun as well. Just some hooking on these setups.
A Thorn Shotgun is always an interesting one because the guns that she brings aren't necessarily so strong to the point where or the secondary gun she brings isn't necessarily so strong to the point where you feel super confident with it. But at the same time, if you're really lacking shotguns, it's one that you can play if you absolutely need to, or if you're playing in a position like on a staircase where the shotguns are just objectively stronger. It is possible to do, but it isn't really one that you see that frequently, especially when you have at least two other shotguns as well as a Scorpos on your side. Rexy here with an aggressive position on the run out, but he will be very upset to find out that no one has spawned on the side except for Halver. We're making a strip down the map completely through the other side. Felix, however, he'll be quite happy as he finds Jags on his side, but Nick Guess managing to refrag him quickly enough. And so that disadvantage isn't going to be the end of the world here. The Twitch is taken off the board, and so they won't be able to remove that utility quite as easily. They do, of course, still have the Thatcher and some nades on the side of Panohorne to be able to clear that utility should they need to.
Yeah, but still losing that Twitch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Twitch playing that F2 or the DMR? Either one of those weapons. It's a powerful gun. Losing the drone utility, losing that gunner, losing that experience in Yegs. Just not a very good thing to happen for you on early in the round. Phyllis, of course, having a fantastic series himself, but that Jaeger utility already placed down. Like, set and forget. There's nothing more to the operator than the gun. Unlike Yegs, who did have those drones, as Katu does find Nipsu on the Blackbeard going down. We are in a 4v3 for the side of Nepponen. Make that a 4v2 as the Thorn does find a kill on the Lambe. Very heavy utility operators falling early in the round again.
However, we'll just be outside of this breach here, kind of fishing for kills wherever he can. Windows not open yet, kind of allowing the side of an opponent to roam around as much as they want to without that pressure being opened up early on. As we see the Thorn approaching the staircase, just waiting for that sound cue of him jumping through, picking up the barbed wire so that she doesn't give anything more away from her position. While her trap does the damage out onto Nikes, she gets downed herself, and so she can't quite confirm the kill onto Halver onto the window here, but she manages to get a kill nonetheless through the use of a gadget. Checks for another Thorn gadget onto that window before he jumps in so that he doesn't get caught out by one as well. Managing to confirm his kill as well. And now it's a 3v1 situation here. We see the heads of the Nippon defenders lined up. He sees the elbow of X-Rexy climbing around the corner here, pushing in, managing to find the head of Virchile. That's the first pick that he needs. He doesn't have the information on the location of Katu, and so he swings around. And he can confirm yet another round on that mute. Oh, so lethal with that SMG-11, picking off the Thatcher here. And we're all even Stevens at 4-4 all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the side swap there. Siege is a game of two halves, and Neptune have proven they can defend this map very well. They know their way around it. We have equalized, and Panuana's attacks is not quite hitting the mark here. Getting spawn peak, getting that shield player C4 out early into the round. Not the game plan that they're quite looking for here. But as we do see, I do believe the tertiary site here, which is a little bit more favorable to the attackers, if I remember correctly. So I'm really excited to see what Panuhane can do here, and can they bring themselves back up into that lead. If they lose this round and the advantage goes to Neponen, that's sounding a little bit of alarm bells in my head already for the side of Panuhane, as Neponen may just walk away with this map, going back to those top 4 sites that are easier to defend.
Yeah, absolutely. Panohone won't want to let this slip away here. They know that they have the advantage going into this site here, but of course Kitchen can be a bit of a dangerous one to play. We discussed it a little bit at length yesterday, obviously, on that tertiary site. Kind of typically electing to go for more of a horizontal roam, sometimes leaving that solo Solus going above, as we see that P90 that we mentioned previously being played here over the shotgun. She won't be able to make any rotations for herself, except for those 2 impact grenades that she brings, but that should be enough if you have your route planned out properly. This Lambe on the Solid Snake is going to be looking to make a quick entry here into Bathroom, but spots out the head holes made by Virtual. That's going to slow him down a little bit here, as he doesn't want to contest into that DMR angle. Should be a big advantage here for Virtual. Kicks in and opens up that barricade. Sees that DMR swing around. He's also leaving. Make sure he doesn't lose his life too early.
Yeah, the Snake, not an operator that we saw very often on this map, being brought up by Lambe. Very powerful, that after that gadget. We've talked at length about it. Another operator I'd like to fix your attention to is that DMR on the side of Nick Sens, a character you don't see very often. A lot more in pro play though, as teams are more coordinated. But those lines of sight abilities that you can cut off lines of sight, get that plant down, get yourself in favorable positions. Very strong operator overall. Very versatile as well, as those secondary gadgets can be nades or those heartbeat charges. Very good, as we see.
Yeah, these Thorn gadgets, they can be so dangerous when you don't drone them out. There's really nothing that you can do here as a Blitz, especially dropping in. Flicking around and shooting that Thorn gadget with a pistol is so challenging, especially when you don't even really realize what's going on before you're dead a lot of the time since that buff. One of the strongest trap operators that you can find. So Rexy will get away with another kill without needing to do anything himself, really. Wallbang's coming through here as he falls back into Commander's office here. The rest of Panohorne clearing through this top floor as well. Trying to see if they can get any top floor control, but they don't have the awareness on Takatu. He doesn't know that there's a second though, so however manages to get the refrag, bringing back at least one of those men that they had lost. Wallbang's coming through from Rexy as well, but not quite finding the mark. Looks like they're going to be looking to fall back here through that Eagle staircase as well, leaving the rest of top floor for the side of Panohorne, who are starting their verticality now. With only a minute to go, they really need to start working towards that plant, towards that execute.
Losing Nifsu on the blades isn't quite ideal for them. There's a reason why Neponen apparently, they know ball, they banned that Thorn out very early into the series. First ban phase, they wanted to get that out immediately, and now we're seeing the reason why for that. Thorn is just fantastic. These traps being very great, being heavy utility as well with that barbed wire or that shield, both very good gadgets, and that gun is also useful, as Pillars shows why he's bringing the P90, hitting the head of Lambe as Nick pays back for a trial.
And another kill coming through from the Mute here as well. However, finding himself in that clutch situation once again. Last time he only managed to find one before being taken out himself. This time he doesn't even manage that, as Rexy comes around with a swing on the Thorn here, managing to find the head of the Mute to close out this round, and the advantage as well for Neponen. For the first time in the series, they will be going ahead. They only need 2 more rounds to decide their own map pick for themselves before we get taken to map 3. Before that is the case, both teams will have the chance to ban out one more operator to kind of bring us to that end state that we'll be finding ourselves in for the last 3 rounds here at the very most.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing if that Thorn does get banned out here. It's been very impactful. It does, along with a Thatcher ban, which is not that common. Panohorne have used it to used it a lot of these rounds, getting rid of that trap utility, maybe even covering a plant should they get that far. That's why they really haven't at that plant focused gameplay not coming through from Panohorne and losing out in the early round. But that Thatcher turning off these gadgets, turning off maybe mute jammers for drones, turning off those C4s. That we often see that Thatcher being for not available this time, and a very unconventional ban as we are heading into a tech mode.
Yeah, we are going to have to go into a quick rehost here, but don't fear, because that means that we have a little bit of a time here to discuss about what is going on. As you already mentioned, the Thatcher is not really a ban that you see all too often when it comes to a map like Fortress. At least there are other maps where he is a little bit more popular, but especially since that rework has come out more recently with the Thatcher, he's been kind of enabled to do a lot more as well than just to open up the breaches, deny the traps on those jump ins and these kinds of things. And I think Neponen, once they saw that they're having so much success with the traps as well, they're just trying to work through all of the counters that they can bring. And obviously you can deny Twitch, for example, but at the end of the day, banning out something like a Thatcher just kind of makes that whole process a little bit easier. So I'll be interested to see if that can make a big difference or not. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think it's definitely looking on the upside for Neponen. But before we manage to see how that goes out, we will be heading into a really short break while we're in that rehost, and we'll be seeing you guys again in just a second.
Bani zieht sich Ekel raus, somit haben wir den 3:3 Ausgleich. Da ist Yannick gegen Thanos, auch der ist raus. Somit ist die Überzahlsituation für Leipzig hier gegeben.
Leipzig einfach, sie wissen nicht, was die Spieler gedroppt sind, können deswegen nichts machen, um das Ganze zu denyen. Man kann es defieren, aber nicht, wenn man tot ist. Bio holt ihr sein erstes Kill vom Game und schafft es dann, den Jack rauszuholen. Das C4 ist denied. Oshiman, der Coxe fällt auch, Mike fällt auch, mir fallen auch die Namen kurz nicht mehr ein. Hier wird dann der Vertical Cross gemacht, der Diffuser geht down, aber der Planter wird gekillt. Jetzt ist es eine 2 gegen 1 Situation und nur noch Bio, er wird auch rausgeholt. 4:2 auf der Plant-Situation hier. Wolves Esports haben komplette Kontrolle von der Runde. Enis gedownt, die Echo-Cams können nichts mehr machen und Yasuo zieht sich Dramatic raus. 4 gegen 3 Situation. Jetzt Sensi und Chichi verlieren beide Leben, aber Stray wird über Yellow rausgeholt. Jetzt ist die Yellow-Kontrolle wieder zurückgeholt. Yasuo, der noch in der Seite ist, holt sich Sensi, der Yellow durchgepusht ist. Der Line-Up hier nicht ganz. Chico holt sich ein und Kese holt sich Jay. Kese holt sich noch einen zweiten Yasuo raus. Jetzt bleibt nur noch Chico hier alleine auf Yellow Stairs. Er zieht sich zurück, um Richtung Breach zurückzugehen. Der Defuse kommt down von Kese. Er ist doch noch bei Yellow Stairs. Er muss jetzt rumswingen, aber Eni zieht Chico raus. Der Retake auf einen der schwersten Sides im ganzen Game und es gelingt Never Gonna Lose zum 5:0. Unglaublich stark ausgespielt. Sie haben in dem ganzen Chaos die Ruhe bewahrt und haben es geschafft, die 5. Runde auch noch für sich zu holen. Du bist sprachlos.
Also, du hast es mir angesehen.
Also, nicht den Kopf von Stray. Käse muss jetzt aggressiv durchpushen, kriegt den Kill auf den Prone und Stray hier. Ganz viel Action oben und diesen Long Dash. Und Yasu schaut schon wieder in die falsche Richtung mit dem Schild. Aber Käse schafft es dann doch noch, Wilson rauszuziehen, um den Refract zu holen. Yasu muss, glaube ich, kurz gesagt werden, dass das Schild von Blackbeard nur nach vorne funktioniert und nicht nach hinten. Das ist jetzt nämlich das 2. Mal, dass er die Kugel in den Hinterkopf bekommen hat. Und so langsam will ich dann auch ein bisschen Kopfschmerzen kriegen, tatsächlich. Natürlich in diesem langen Hallway nicht immer ganz so einfach. Es sind hier Double Up, um zu versuchen, die Refracts zu kriegen. Aber Jay wird hier direkt gedownt von Käse. Die Shots kommen weiterhin durch und Chi-Chi zieht rum und holt sich auch noch Stray raus. Richtig schön rausgespielt. Und was man dazu sagen muss, ist, sobald dieser Thermite so früh an dem Spawn-Peak C4 fällt, wird die Runde schon unglaublich.
Da drauf schlagen, aber Käse, der wird weiterhin unter Druck gesetzt. Kriegt dann noch die Tracks entgegengesetzt. Das ist perfekt. Reno wirft da erstmal mit den Tracks um sich. Down der Käse und dann kommt die Granate hinterher. Zwar kann Sensi Reno direkt bestrafen und refraggen, aber das war eine sehr wunderschöne.
Die Stairs hier und Sushi repellt sich mit direkt ein, rennt auch komplett in Gold durch. Lennart wird hier rausgeforst. Der Spieler im Gym auch holt sich noch einen Wilson, holt sich einen zweiten Stray. Yasuo holen sich auch noch alle. Der Push ist komplett ins Klo gefallen. Eine flawless Runde für Wohl.
Den auf den kommenden Spieltagen. Aber da auch wieder Verband von der Seite von Nord.
Das Feuer, die Clash ist raus.
Panoza wird mit dem Feuer rausgeholt. Richtig gut, das ist ein Shield Operator weg. Jetzt könnte man eigentlich
ist komplett durchzupushen. Burstix muss den Plant abbrechen und muss versuchen, hier irgendwie den Kill auf Katsche zu kriegen, so dass Katsche am Leben bleibt. Können sie hier nicht planten. Deswegen pusht er ihn jetzt. Katsche zieht rum, zieht Burstix raus. Macho und Slorax ziehen 2. Und Macho zieht auch noch die Mira von McCandy. Was sich da gerade im Stock abgespielt hat, das ist wirklich wieder unglaublich hier. dass die Vertex diese Runde noch aus dem Grab zu ausbreiten wie möglich, um einfach zu sagen, hey, die Zeit lassen wir ihn gar nicht, um die Runde zu holen. Shio wird hier gedownt, Sushi wird noch vom Macho Mann rausgezogen, 12:4 steht er jetzt inzwischen.
Macho
Noch
Mann!
einen holt er sich raus, 13:4 hier, jetzt er muss den Diffuser legen oder er muss den Kill ziehen. Panzer bleibt onside, er hat ihm die Chance gegeben, aber hat sich gerade noch so verstecken können und zieht Macho Mann raus. Das Ace wurde hier denied. Unglaublich starke Runde für Macho Mann, aber am Ende hat es nicht ganz gereicht.
Ja, das war genau das, was ich meinte. Wenn der will und wenn er die...
Natürlich in diesem langen Hallway nicht immer ganz so einfach. Es sind hier Double Up, um zu versuchen, die Refrags zu kriegen. Aber Jay wird hier direkt gedownt von Käse. Die Shots kommen weiterhin durch und Chi-Chi zieht rum und holt sich auch noch Stray raus. Richtig schön rausgespielt. Und was man dazu sagen muss, ist, sobald dieser Thermite so früh an dem Spawn-Peak C4 fällt, wird die Runde schon unglaublich. So, nicht den Kopf von Stray. Käse muss jetzt aggressiv durchpushen, kriegt den Kill auf den Prone Stray hier. Ganz viel Action hoch und diesen Long Dash. Und Yasu schaut schon wieder in die falsche Richtung mit dem Schild. Aber Käse schafft es dann doch noch, Filzen rauszuziehen, um den Refrag zu holen. Yasu muss, glaube ich, kurz gesagt werden, dass das Schild von Blackbeard nur nach vorne funktioniert und nicht nach hinten. Das ist jetzt nämlich das zweite Mal, dass er die Kugel in den Hinterkopf bekommen hat. So langsam will ich dann auch ein bisschen Kopfschmerzen kriegen tatsächlich. Auf der Plan-Situation hier. Wolves E-Sports haben komplette Kontrolle von der Runde. Enis gedownt, die Echo-Camps können nichts mehr machen und Yasu zieht sich Dramatic raus. 4 gegen 3 Situation. Jetzt Sensi und Chi-Chi verlieren beide Leben, aber Stray wird über Yellow rausgeholt. Das ist die Yellow-Kontrolle wieder zurückgeholt. Aber Yasu, der noch in der Seite ist, holt sich Sensi, der Yellow durchgepusht ist. Der Line-Up hier nicht ganz. Chico holt sich ein und Käse holt sich Jay. Käse holt sich noch einen zweiten Yasu raus. Jetzt bleibt nur noch Chico hier alleine auf Yellow Stairs. Er zieht sich zurück, um Richtung Breach zurückzugehen. Der Diffuse kommt down von Käse. Er ist doch noch bei Yellow Stairs. Er muss jetzt rumswingen, aber Eni zieht Chico raus. Der Retake auf einen der schwersten Sides im ganzen Game. Und es gelingt Never Gonna Lose zum 5:0. Unglaublich stark ausgespielt. Sie haben in dem ganzen Chaos die Ruhe bewahrt und haben es geschafft, die 5. Runde auch noch für sich zu holen. Du bist sprachlos.
Also, du hast es mir angesehen.
Safe wird rausgenommen, allerdings auch Nero. Blitz ist jetzt direkt im Gesicht, kriegt allerdings keinen Flash raus auf Vilo. Der damit im... Wieder 2 gegen 4. Diesmal haben die WTZ-Spieler keine Utility, um das Ganze zu spielen, außer eine Nate, die jetzt geworfen wird. Und jetzt müssen sie wirklich alles ganz normal pieken. Und die Gun wird einfach so taken, wie sie kommen. Und das sieht ein bisschen schwierig aus, weil sie eben gegen 4 Ryzen-Spieler ankommen müssen. Valkyrie Cam kann auch noch Position callen. Und dann kommt Schwarzi mit einem wundervollen Double-Kill und beendet diese Runde.
Also, was wir definitiv sagen können, der Basement-Spot, da gehört Ryzen zweimal jetzt geholt.
Vor allem hätten, weil sie hätten es absolut verdient gehabt, muss man ehrlicherweise sagen. Aber allen gebühren Respekt an.
Entschuldigung. Die Technik heute Nacht.
Ja, wirklich. Also wir sehen ja wirklich sehr, sehr geile Siege. Aber also die Technik heute, das ist ganz schwierig.
Der Stream von heute, die K-Kontrolle noch zu halten.
Ja, sie haben so halb die Vertikalkontrolle noch. Der Breach ist oben nicht ganz offen, da kommst du nicht durch, aber auch das wird alles gut gecovert. Man weiß, auf den Stairs, da wartet einer, Ehrenbarber zieht sich hier Rexon raus und ohne Probleme kann jetzt auch Shot auf den Plant gehen, aber hier geht's stark auf stark. Seht ihr, wie jetzt noch...
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after a quick rehost here onto Fortress. Nepon and a leading Panohone 5-4 here with the defense side of Fortress. They need 2 more rounds to bring it back here and send us all the way to map 3. Panohone do need to kind of strap up here as they haven't been able to find any wins onto the attack so far. Obviously, on the reverse, the same held true as well. And then Nepon fought back with 2 rounds straight away. So Panohone will want to do the same here to be able to bring us to a map victory, I guess, to stop us from going to map 3. I was going to say bring us into overtime, but we're not quite that far yet for Neponen, but they will be looking to push that with the next round as well. I'm still here with Herka, and as a Finn yourself in these first maps, which group of your countrymen are you finding the most promising so far?
Well, it's undeniable that Panohane do have more experience in T2. They've played a lot of games. They've achieved a lot. Most notably that European T2 Championship of 2025. Nepal not having quite as much experience, of course, being experienced players themselves. There's a lot of talent on that squad, and they do play a lot of these T2 tournaments. But coming off of Consulate, that was a very, very strong showing for Panohane. Not quite being able to pack that up on their attack half of Fortress now. They did quite well on the defense, getting that 4-2 split, but not getting any rounds after that and allowing Neponen to claw back the round advantage on their own defense half.
Yeah, the kind of aggressive early playstyle from Neponen coming out here again onto Fortress, and it is proving a little bit difficult for Panohane to deal with, as Neponen getting a lot of entry picks here again, as they did on the last map as well. And obviously back over on that previous map, on Consulate, Panohane did manage to fight back from quite a few of those man advantage or man disadvantage situations even, and they've not been quite as successful here, as Jax is caught into an early engagement again here, with Pilis taking quite a bit of damage, electing for the pick away and almost get caught out here by the Goyo as well, who's playing below here in that dining hallway. Manages to escape with his life, go all the way back upstairs, as we see however back onto that floor is that he was already playing last round, clearing out as much utility as he can around the source side here.
Yeah. Panohane clearly identifying the problem in their attacks, being those early engagements, being these ratty plays and these flanks that Neponen are known for and do like to do, having both the Deimos and the Snake and a Grim of all characters bringing out here. Three very powerful characters, as I say, as Nipsu picks off Virtual on that Warden. So clearly a lot of intel being brought as the Goyo gets a kill onto Nikkei as on that ace. The breaching capability is slightly lessened to hard breach. Charge is still in the pocket of Nipsu as well, as Yex gets knifed. Pilis has gotten a billion knife skill this game. What is going on? Or this matchup, I mean.
Yeah, there's at least a second knife kill, and I mean, it's not like a knife kill happening is not that weird, but it happening twice, that is a little bit peculiar. But Lambert here with a nade, not quite managing to find Rexy on the runaway, because he was in a bit of a dangerous position, and we see also Katu here taking into Nefsu taking into an aggressive position into bathroom, gets that swing, and Rexy just sliding away again with his life just about. And the diffuser is down here in the tower after Pilis was successful in that knife fight. However, finally getting Rexy, who's been dodging bullets for the whole time. So we see Lambert and Nifsu, that duo, really pushing forward now, trying to get closer here, but we see that crossfire being held as well from the Goyo and the Cade on top of that main stairs position. We see the Jaeger down below, going for a bit of a flank here, it seems, up at the central stairs, and this time they are aware of it, not knowing that he's still up on those stairs. So they will have to be aware of this flank. So we see him still kind of just playing around downstairs, and now he's pushed all the way up. Cade swinging around, managing to get one, while however refrags here onto the Goyo, and also getting a second, but that flank has finally come through. So he managed to pick off Halvern with only 8 seconds left. Now Pilis will be playing this passively. Nifsu forced into a plant or to swing around. He knows roughly the position that he's in. He's going to have to get the swing just in time, but Pilis manages to deny the round win here. And even though he was all the way cornered in, he managed to win the gunfight. And it's now a match point here for Neponen.
Yeah, Panohane really having a lot of control on that round. Getting almost the entirety of the side, but not having the diffuser with them. That is a very important thing. You have forgotten in that construction site of New Tower, or whatever you call it, that area. And Neponen recognized that, held onto that position with their lives, losing their lives in the end, but it was just too late for Panohane at that point, losing way too much time, coming down to the wire on a 1v1, and not a situation that you really want to be with. Pilis picking up 3 in the first after that rehost. And looking over on the side of Neponen on these character picks, we see that Scopos coming out again. I don't know why Rexy loves that character so much. I guess it is a very good character, but slightly still an unconventional pick. And we see a cat can of all characters be brought out.
And they know now that with that aggression that they're bringing through, especially Rexy and Pilis here, that they, side of Panohane, do need to kind of speed up early on. They're becoming a lot more passive as the early round happens. And so that means that they're forced into a little bit more in the late round. It's been quite a few rounds now that has been won within the last 2 or 3 seconds. And so if they bring that Capcan here and play it a little bit closer to side, they might be able to catch out 1 or 2 of the players of Panohane as they need to push into that round later on with a little bit less time. And we see Rexy once again on a spawn peak. Lambe being taken out this time. I think he's answered your question there as to why he likes playing that operator so much, because even though he's taken so much damage now, he can just teleport back to his second shell and be all the way back to 100 HP.
Yeah. Early aggressive plays is the theme for this match. Nippon have really brought their A game, dragging out onto Lambe on that capital of all characters. That is the last character you want to lose. Maybe with the addition of that Maverick, but no, that's very, very important utility. And I think you kind of have to frag it out from the side of Panuhane. And execute is very, very tough now that you don't have those smoke bolts, you don't have those firebolts, and you can't really clear out positions as effectively as you would like to, even with a Deimos and a Blitz on board.
Thing that can definitely still clear out your positions is the gun of Nikes, I believe it was here, going to that gunfight with Rexy as well. So you see Nifsu working his way forward on the shield, just being able to clear out these hallways even more effectively than usual because of that shield that he has in front of him. So you see Halva holding onto that main stairs angle here, the Capcan playing down below onto those stairs, so he knows that he's going to be caught off here, but Halva managing to pick him off regardless. So that's the man advantage being brought back here from the side of Panuhane. And they lost a player on the spawn peak. They are able to fight back. And now they're going to have to convert the rest of the round here as well. While explosives come out towards Nifsu, he's going to have to look down here to protect his feet so that these don't get shot out by the players of Nepon sitting on the site. As it looks like they'll be mounting up for an old tower push here later on in the round. Drone being taken out, but Nifsu looking to jump in here regardless.
Nifsu showing us his best Neko gameplay as he is on that shield and getting C4 maxed onto as that one tier 1 player often gets. But still maintaining a lot of his HP. I believe that's roughly around 40-45%. That's not a bad amount for a Blitz. That is still be able to survive, I think, one shot from these defender weapons to the feet, except with of that TCSD that Kaid has, as Rexy does go down to the Nika S and Nifsu picks up on the Karima. Rochelle does get one on to Nikas, and Giggs traces it back down, and Halva gets pillaged. And Panuhane have somehow been able to stave off losing that match point, and they are on a comeback trajectory, perhaps here.
Yeah, Neponen losing out that first pick early on, obviously not what you want to see, but they are just able to clear out these positions so effectively with that utility, with that information that they bring on plays like the Solid Snake, like the Deimos, like the Blitz as well. And the ability to clear out these positions just makes it so uncomfortable for Neponen, because even though they have the advantage, they get boxed all the way back into their site, their locations are pinged, and then they're cleared out with that nade utility. So they really can't play anywhere safely, and there's just one or two players of Panuhane always waiting to kind of clean out the players that are rotating around. I have to attack the kitchen site now here, looking to bring us into overtime. Obviously, they didn't quite manage to convert this round last time because of that aggressive roam that was coming up from Neponen, and I'm sure we'll be seeing the same thing again. I'm just hoping that this time Panuhane, they're so much more aware of these spawn peaks. It's been going on for 2 full maps now, and they just need to be a little bit more wary when it comes to those early rounds, making sure that they don't lose any players, especially looking like they'll be going for a bit more of an execute focus take here, with that sense being brought here, not the Solus. That sense being brought here to cut down those sight lines, and that usually is a pretty good indicator of a relatively fast take here. Maybe there's a different plan being built up here as well by Nikas.
Yes, we see often these teams go out for a... If you do go for a lateral take, you often focus on that Hammam side, and then you go for that medical position that teams like to hold and go on, execute onto... I do believe that is A side next to medical. There's only one side that actually has verticality options onto it, and that is what Pillis must be playing for in the late round, playing up above. But I would love to see what kind of execute these teams are going for. Are we going for a full roam clear? Do we just ignore the roam clear and go straight for the side and force our way in and force onto an execute? As we do see a lot of these players sitting outside of the site itself, with Virchile, Kato, and Billis all outside of the site. As I say that, Kato just bringing himself back into.
Yeah, for sure. We see Rexy here playing aggressively onto that window as well. Glass not being shot out. Barricade being gone though, so he can look through, but there's no sound cue as well. As Lambe opens up the door into Horse here, looking to go for a little bit of an entry play here as well. He has the information from the Solid Snake scanner, of course, so he can't be denied here. The entry point, Nikes with it down here. That one tap onto Katu as he managed to confirm him with the nade, or Halva also picks off Pilis. So this is a 2-player advantage now. The roam is effectively cleared. There is still one player sitting above Rexy over on the Capcan on top of Museum. The other 2 players will have fallen back to site now, as they know that they need to defend a little bit horizontally. Virgil, however, will be pushing up the central stairs to try and go for an aggressive pick here. And obviously with that man disadvantage, they do need to find one somewhere. Jegs here on the plant deny, or on the flank deny even, will have the awareness, but Virgil with a lovely shot to pick him off. Brings us down to a 4 versus 3 situation now.
Yes, we do see that verticality coming out from Panduhane. I'm interested to see if they do realize that the site is kind of empty-ish. There's not a lot of pressure itself on the side, as we do see Rexy up above bathroom. That would be a 4 versus 2 on the side itself, should Panduhane elect to go directly. They're still going for the drone play, however, and Rexy just gets that beautiful spray from across the wall onto Halva, and the move does put off Nikke, as with Lambe trading Rexy back when we are now in a 2v2 from a decisive man advantage for Panduhane.
Yeah, these flanks again becoming the kind of kryptonite of Panduhane here, just not being aware enough of the positioning of the players of Nepponen, and so they can go for these kind of ratty plays. Obviously, the wallbang coming through as well, which is very strong. Lambe managing to pick up Virtual here through the verticalities, and now it's only the mute left. Nade coming through as well. The blitz in front of him, that flashbang coming through. He manages to dodge it around, but Nifsu at the very end manages to confirm the kill as well. And so even though it looked a little bit shaky for a second there with that knife coming through to deny the instant kill from the blitz, just managed to confirm it and send us into an overtime here for the first time today on map 2. And now the question to the chat is, who do we think is going to win it? Will Panduhane finish it off here within 2 maps, or will Nepponen be able to bring us all the way to a map 3? Maybe we can have a little bit of an insight from our in-house Finnish specialist. Herko, what do you think?
Well, Panduhane do have the momentum now. They've clawed their way back onto an overtime from a side split that didn't really look quite good. Nepponen did get a 4-2 attack, or Panduhane did a 4-2 defense, with Nepponen winning 2 attacks on that split. Side swapping, and then Nepponen very quickly got a man advantage lead, or a round advantage lead here, getting all the overweight onto that match point, and Panduhane have brought it back. They do have the momentum, and that's a very important thing. Siege is a very psychological game. You think you're doing good, you will be doing better. It's a very mental thing in this game. And while they do have the quote-unquote harder side of the overtime, with them having to possibly get 2 attacks in, it's still very, very much in Panduhane's court, the ball, I mean. Can they actually keep this momentum up, and can they get these rounds against Nepponen, or will Nepponen bite back on the defense and fix their late round issues that they've been having recently?
The advantage that Nepponen have here, of course, is that they do have all of the sites available once again, so they can elect whichever site they felt worked best on all of their 6 defenses so far. They've elected to go back top floor here to that primary site that we've been seeing quite so often. And they'll be playing the extension all the way over as well, into games and into bunks. This is relatively common anyway when we play these sites. We're seeing Panduhane again bringing in that triple positional deny, that triple information with the Grim, with the Deimos, and with the Solid Snake. Together with a Twitch as well to clear out any traps that are being played, and also clear out that mirror. You look at that lineup of Nepponen, every single one of the players that they bring have an operator that has utility that can get countered by those Twitch drones. So Halva's going to have to look to do damage, but it looks like he's lost both of those drones already. And when you're only 50 seconds into the round, that's not what you want to be seeing of one of your most potent utility denial operators.
That is very much correct. Losing those drones isn't a very good thing, but after all, if you lose that utility, as I said earlier, in this round, do we see a flank coming out again? Please don't tell me. What is that gunfight? Rexy had a very easy pick there, trying to Nipsu and getting Panduhane a man advantage.
There's a second one coming.
There is a second one coming. But as I was saying, if you lose those drones early, if you lose that utility, you fall back on the Fragmite principle of old, which is if no utility, gun in hand, go in. And I do think that was what we'll be seeing from Halva, that after putting work in, as Phillies does get the flank out, but with a 3-2 advantage for Panduhane back on the side of the site.
Halva managed to pick up another one on Takatu as well, and so now Pedis, who was caught flanking, is the only one left, and he's going to have to try and play a 3v1 retake onto the side here. The diffuser is being put down by Nikas as well. We have Jegs here holding the flank. Oh, sorry, I can't tell if that's Jegs or if it's Halva. Either way, it's an F2, and it's holding the angle, and it is enough to put down Pedis on that flank. And it just shows once again the flanks here coming through, those double flanks from Nepponen, and it's really what they want to play for. They want to play for these kind of more unexpected things. They know that the flank watch on the side of Panduhane isn't so strong, but the problem is when all of your plays on site drop, you're kind of just left alone. And it might be nice that he managed to get one on the flank, but how influential really is that kill on the flank? Or would it have been better if you'd been on site holding an extra angle, holding an extra entryway, playing for that refrag? And so it becomes a bit of a question of what is it worth and what isn't it. Obviously, it is that identity that that Nippon and House, sorry, that we spoke about yesterday as well, with some different teams about the kind of identity that you bring and how consistently will you play that. And we're seeing that come in here again. And obviously, it's worked really, really well for a bunch of their defenses. That is 3 attack rounds, I think, now in a row that Panahoane managed to win. Oh, sorry, no, it's 2 attack rounds in a row that Panahoane managed to win, with 1 round being in between those, the 3rd round that they won. They seem to have kind of figured out what they need to do here, the awareness of the flanks, and just hitting those gaps on site as they did in that last round. But now they'll be back on the defense, electing to go for the same site here, defending the bathroom and and dorms here. So they'll be looking to close it out here and stop us from going all the way to map 3.
What I'm seeing right now from both teams is very typical. We see that Katu going on to that Montaigne again, an operator that he's also loved earlier on Neponen's attack side. We do not see the Blackbeard that the Twitch player threatened to bring here earlier, swapping onto that DMR onto those drones. We do see Lambe on the Denari, Gex, Mira, and then that electricity and plant denial from the rest of the team. Just very, very typical from Panahoane. And we'll have to see if Neponen actually manage to turn the tide of this match now. They are very much on the losing side again. And the clock is ticking. Those smoke babes, those Goyo canisters, those C4s, they will have an effect in the late round. And Neponen does need to get their feet moving if they want to have any chance of running those utilities out before they become lethal.
We've already passed the first 45 seconds of the round here, and Katu's still just jiggling this drop, waiting for the information to come through from the drone, seeing if there's any utility below him, because obviously he does need to be aware of any Goyo canisters or so. I think it was him last time caught there as well with the Tachanka fire coming through. So he needs to make sure that if he drops, it is safe there. Goes for the fake drop as well to get a little bit more information of the player peeking through. But Jace will be happy just to wait here, sees the feet come down, doesn't manage to get any damage, pops that pipe so that he can't be pushed aggressively. There is also still a Goyo fire which can be dropped for a little bit of extra time deny. So we'll be holding and waiting for that. And as the Monty approaches close, tries to pop it, doesn't quite hit it the first few times, but does manage to get it now. A good amount of damage coming through to Katu as well. And that triple reinforced wall here all the way through. But Pilis does manage to fight Nifsu here on the first pick.
Yeah, Smoke Babe still in pocket. That's a very, very impactful pick. We do have Pilis going down to a very low health here, along with Katu on that half health. So defender guns slightly more effective against these players. Pilis only needing 1 bullet to his pinky toe to go down. Just not in a position that you can be in, but maybe able to play that more supportive role with 5 Doki because in pocket. As we do see the Twitch going down, that's a DMR offline, that's the smokes offline. Not a position you want to be. And the man count equalized for Panahoane.
See Jags moving into an aggressive angle here as well. Getting around this front desk, there are pings coming out as well, so he knows now that there is someone that climbed up this ladder here. So you see Peters on super low HP, 1 bullet will be enough to make sure that he drops out. And we see them once again doubling up here. We'll see one person drop below here on those main stairs, and I'm not sure if Peters has the information. He did know that he was there, but Jakes does manage to pick him off while another player was aggressing from above. Katu ADSing onto Lambe as well to be able to bring back that man count. Jakes now finding himself on those main stairs while the Monty walks into the site, so he has the control now to go for the plant, while Virtual behind him manages to pick an extra off. They're not aware here of the position in the bathtub. However, might be able to come up with something massive here. It's him and Jegs that need to come up with a play here. Jegs' first shots come through. C4 out as well to be able to deny that player in horse, and that's a 2v2 situation. Now the Monty pushing forward as well. The first or the second being fought by Herber here as well. And he finishes off the round with a 3K, putting down the Monty here. Another C4 comes out. Luckily there's no team kill like there was on the first map. But either way, Panahoane managed to stop us from going to a map 3 as they win it out 2-0 against Neponen.
What a series. Panahoane really showing dominance in the finish speed here. Getting their own map pick in a very, very decisive victory, and then Neponen taking them all the way to overtime on their own map pick. But Panahoane is showing what that experience is made of, what this roster is made of, and getting the victory in overtime. What a map. What a match.
Yeah, it was a fantastic, fantastic matchup between these two Finnish squads. And I mean, Fortress, it is one of our relatively newer maps in the competitive pool. And I think it just goes to show with the way that we've seen maps played out, where we see the defenders have the early advantage, and then later into the rounds, the attacking side figures it out, gets the advantage, takes the rounds. And we saw that yesterday in our matchup between Tabernicarpus and Turks, where it was 5-1 for the defense, then side swapped 5-1 for the defense. And today we saw 4-2. And both of those rounds came in later in the half. Then on the other side, 4-2. The attacking rounds later in the half. And I think it goes to show that these teams, a lot of teams across the entire region and across the world, have not figured this map out on the attack yet. And it comes down to figuring out how is the opponent going to play this map? How are we going to play it on the attack? And it just comes down to that. Max, Herker, what do you have to say about Fortress? Because I think it's definitely interesting how it plays out, Max.
I think the main thing that I would have to say is that the Finnish blood clearly isn't adapted to these high climate temperatures, and maybe that kind of explains why we went all the way to an 8-7 here towards the end. But no, very well played by both teams. Obviously, Panohorne showing their kind of experience when it comes to just being able to adapt to opponents as well, kind of figuring out the flanks that the side of Nepponen were going for a lot, the aggressive plays early on in the round. So I think they're definitely deserved winners here.
Yeah. Herker, how do you feel about Fortress?
As I said earlier, that experience really coming through, going down in round difference very early on, but being able to claw that back all the way up to getting that victory. I don't know about you guys. I personally love Fortress. I think it's a great map, and I do hope Ubisoft does more of these types of refreshments for older maps and brings them up to that competitive standard that we know and love. And I think Fortress has been a great addition, as we have just seen. Very interesting gameplay, very interesting matches, great stuff.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into an interview now. We have Nikke on call. Nikke, I've interviewed you before, and I always love our little interviews. How are you doing? How are you feeling about the match?
Doing great. Match was a bit more tough, the second match or map especially, but otherwise it was a good game and nice to get a win.
Yeah, I think Fortress, definitely an interesting one. I think don't feel too bad about going to overtime. We see a lot of overtime on Fortress just because of how seemingly defender-sided it is, just because it's so new. Do you feel like Fortress is interesting? How do you feel exactly about Fortress, just on a personal perspective? I don't want you to, leak anything, but on a personal perspective, how do you feel about it?
I think it's nice. I like to play it. It's always nice to have a good new and a good map in the pool. So it's been interesting to play always. And of course today we struggled a bit on the attacks, but otherwise it's quite nice, and it's nice to play overall.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting map. We see a lot of new things, especially with the Glaz being one of the highest band operators. I think that Glaz is very strong on that map, at least for the time being, until teams maybe figure it out more on the attack. But going back to that first map on the Consulate, you guys had a pretty good attack, 3-3 split on the first half, but then on the defense, you did not allow Nepponen to get a single attacking round. And I think it's very interesting, very telling that that map is very strong for you guys. And we saw on the defense for the side of Nepponen, pretty much every single round they had either Castle or Pulse, except for one round. Do you feel like you guys are pretty good at attacking specific operators on a map like Consulate, or do you feel like maybe it caught you off guard and maybe a couple of rounds slipped away from you, or what was going on Consulate?
I don't know. They had quite interesting strats, and especially with the castle, quite not so usual castle placements and so on. But I don't think that really changed it too much. When we see stuff on the map, we'll adapt accordingly, and I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that there was some interesting things being brought out by Nepponen on that defense. But I mean, you guys look very, very confident now. I have two more questions for you. Out of all the teams left in the tournament, who do you think, other than your team, because obviously you guys 100% confident you're going to win, think that you're going to win at all times, it's just how it goes. Who do you think is going to be up there and has a chance to take this tournament other than you guys?
Well, good intention has been good, but I think they have played a bit worse lately, like for the past like month or something. But they have the potential to play well, and if they play up to their standards, they should be quite up there. And same with the Turbini team, the one with Packball and Hungry. But I think they'll have some roster changes, so I'm not too sure how well they can play, but we'll see.
Well, congratulations on your win. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans out there?
Nothing special, and thank you for watching.
All right. Well, thank you for the interview. I hope to see you going far in the tournament. Good luck on the rest of your matches.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back, Max and Herker. How do you feel about the interview? Do you think that there was definitely some insight there out of Nikke? Yeah.
My microphone, my microphone cable has been beefing with me today. I need to find a new USB cable to plug in because it keeps on just falling out of my. Anyway, no, what I was saying is that I always love the interviews with the Finnish guys. They always have this kind of like very like monotone way of expressing themselves, but they always say, I don't know if it's intentional or not, they always say fantastically funny things. So I always love seeing their interviews. I really like them as people as well. And obviously, I said yesterday that when you get interviews with coaches, you get more of the tactical insight. And I think when you get interviews with players, you get kind of more of that, like, I don't want to say like the ego side of it, but more of like the self-confident side, you know, more of the like, yeah, you know, they did some weird things, but it is what it is. Like at the end of the day, we were good enough. We're better than them. We can win. Also, what you said with you always kind of back yourself to win the games, right? So it's quite nice to kind of get the insight as well of who they think could be a little bit of a challenger in the tournament at least.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I have to ask, MVP of the series, Eriker, who's your MVP for the series?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna give it to Halva, actually. I don't really have any particular reasoning for that, but I feel like he did show up in the server when it mattered, when he played those important operators, and I do think he had a very good impact in it. So I'm going to give it to Halva.
Max?
I think Halva's a good shout always. I think the problem in games like these is, like I said, with Panahoina, there's never really like, or very rarely, there's like one like super standout player. They always perform well on the kind of consistency that they bring. Someone that I actually thought played very well despite losing was Rexy, bringing a lot of that like early aggression and really trying to impose himself on the game. So even though they lost, I would almost want to give it to him just because I like the way that he kind of tried to pull his team with him. And so that'll be my pick today despite losing.
Yeah, I think both are definitely good shouts. I do want to shout out Pillis. Definitely did a lot better job of getting untraded kills there, especially in that second half. Fortunately, just wasn't enough. And Katsu also bounced back, had a pretty good map too. But again, it really just kind of fell apart later into that second half and into the overtime. The attacking side just got figured out. The side of Panahoina was able to figure out the defense, figured out what Nepinen was going for, and able to isolate those players and find those kills. And I think it comes down to Nepinen and Panahoina's clashing play styles, where Nepinen loved to play isolated, loved to play on the flank, play solo, play for themselves, whereas Panahoina consistently find those trades, consistently play off of each other. And I think that it goes to show that Panahoina today was better. They're going to be going through to the next stage, and I believe if Faceit is actually accurate in the standings, Nepinen will be leaving the tournament, unfortunately. But even though they did go down 2-0, map 2 extremely close, and unfortunately, a team does have to get eliminated. And Eriker, how do you feel about the series? How do you feel about the group stage so far? We've had a lot of exciting matches, and yeah, how do you feel about it so far?
We have had a lot of exciting matches along this one. Well, before this game started, I actually I said to Maxwell that I hope a Finnish team wins today. I think that would be great. And a Finnish team won today. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that Pannuhuone do get to advance in the bracket. It's always great to have Finnish representation as well. Siege does have quite deep roots in Finland. Looking at those two first SIs on the side of Penta, on the side of G2, having very notable Finnish players, and Pannuhuone is bringing that back in a very nice way, I think. Nepponen falling a bit short of the mark today, but that's fine. They'll have more opportunities to qualify for deeper runs in the tournament. This is important practice, and I'm sure they'll come back stronger, as my countrymen always do. But it's been a great group stage thus far. Very interesting maps and interesting games and interesting matchups.
All right, Max, if you had to pick a singular match for any of our viewers, they missed it, to go back in the VODs, watch it, which match do you think was the most exciting, the best matchup?
I almost don't want to say it because I will have severe PTSD. All I will say is that there is a certain consulate match where 5 attack rounds were won twice. I think in the 15 rounds that we played, 13 of them were won by the attack. If you want to go back through and find that game, then please do. It's definitely worth watching, but I really don't want to spend any more time thinking about it. That I'm going to leave it there.
All right, well, just want to shout out our wonderful observer, Ogi, our wonderful producer, fantastic as always, Araka, and thank you as well to our fantastic catchers, Erker and Maxwell. You did a fantastic job. But group stage is over. Hopefully the standings get posted out very shortly. And for today, we are done, but we will be back with the next stage of Die Meisterschaft. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you pay attention to the socials, because we will let you know exactly when that is. For now, goodbye.